Alex's reply on Facebook Messenger was instantaneous, as if she could smell the gossip through the screen. Oh, what about him? For a second, Jordan Liu almost typed it all out, that some girl was all over Cole, that they looked like a couple. But a sudden chill stopped her. She deleted the message. She'd already failed to get Jasmine's contact info, and this felt like an opportunity to get on her good side. She was sure Jasmine would be interested in this little tidbit, but saying it outright could make both Cole and his sister see her as a petty gossip. It wasn't worth the risk. She was far more interested in doing business with Headline today. Losing that opportunity over something so small would be stupid. She changed her tune. They were having a door mixer at my barbecue joint. We just chatted for a bit. She figured it was enough to make herself seem familiar, to imply they were getting close. Alex's reply was breezy. Oh, a mixer? That's normal. Reading that, Jordan breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed Alex didn't care much, which meant Jordan had avoided looking like a fool for no reason. In the Eastwood Tech Dance studio, the team was on a break. Jasmine took the empty floor to practice a new routine. Alex had just typed that's normal to Jordan, but in the next breath, she called out, Jasmine, your little brother's at a door mixer. Aren't you worried some girl is going to snatch him up? The music screeched to a halt. Jasmine's voice was calm. It's just a mixer. You've been to them. Did you get snatched up? Hey, I'm not him. The guy's a human magnet, and he only attracts women, Alex retorted, giving Jasmine a look that screamed, you know what I mean. Oh, did he attract you? Jasmine's eyes narrowed, 100 tiny daggers glinting in their depths. Get out of here. You're the one who's attracted to him. Alex yelped, jumping as if her tail had been stepped on. Look at you, so defensive. If he didn't attract you, what are you so afraid of? A small, sly smile played on Jasmine's lips. Seriously? I'm trying to tell you about the mixer, and you turn it on me. Fine, I won't tell you anything next time, Alex grumbled, slumping against the wall and sliding to the floor. Don't listen to that wannabe dude, Jasmine said, her tone softening. She doesn't have your best interests at heart, you know? I know, don't worry. Feeling the warmth of her friend's concern, Alex relaxed. Then she went back on the offensive. And what's with you practicing such a scandalous dance? If a guy saw this, he'd get a nosebleed. A blush crept up Jasmine's neck. It's because that idiot insisted on seeing it, she thought. What choice do I have? But she put on a brave face. Just trying something new. It's not like anyone else will see it. Huh, like I'd ever believe you. You're 100% doing this for him. The brother-obsessed sister has finally lost it. Alex was floored by the routine. The usually reserved Jasmine was moving in ways. Well, it was basically a seduction, a sensual, provocative choreography from some European music video. Believe what you want, Jasmine shot back, refusing to admit a thing. I don't believe it. You can kill me, but I won't believe it. This dance is meant to be done either barefoot or in a short skirt with sheer black stockings and heels. If you dare perform this for him, I'll bet you $5 he turns into a werewolf on the spot and eats you alive. The image of the composed Jasmine showing that side of herself to Cole was enough to make Alex think the world had gone mad. You'd better stop, or I'm not talking to you again. Jasmine glared at her friend, but her face was burning. It was one thing to do it, but to talk about it was mortifying. Of course, she was going to dance it for that idiot, and she was only going to let him sit and watch. To torture him, to build his character. The thought made her burn with a strange fire. Then another thought surfaced. A mixer? Did he mix? In the dim light of the movie theater, Cole and Luna were watching Inception. Seeing it again, after all these years, felt both fresh and familiar. He glanced at Luna, who was completely captivated. It was hard to believe, but this was the first time the girl next to him had ever seen a movie on a big screen. A pang of sympathy hit him. He didn't have the heart to disturb her, just quietly discuss the plot with her when she had questions, not wanting to spoil her sense of wonder. When they left the theater, Luna was still lost in the world of dreams within dreams. Cole took her small hand and led her around some of the well-known scenic spots near the lake, letting her happiness build. Whenever they were in a crowd, Luna would dive into Cole's arms like a startled rabbit finding its burrow. Cole, the sly fox, would take the opportunity to hold her tight, pretending to be her stalwart protector while enjoying the firm press of her body against his. Feeling the subtle change in his posture, Luna would freeze, her face flushing, a mix of nervousness and a secret, fluttering satisfaction filling her heart. As evening fell, Cole took her for hot pot, just as he'd promised. Afterward, they took a walk to let the food settle before he walked a reluctant Luna back to her dorm. On his way back to his own dorm, Cole returned Jordan Liu's call. Hey Jordan, sorry, I was away from my phone. What's up? Cole, my man, how about you come by my lounge tomorrow? I want to talk business. Sounds good. What time? Text me the address. Hanging up, a smile touched Cole's lips. The first ad campaign was about to land. If this worked out, he'd have to thank Alex. His phone rang again. It was Jasmine. He answered immediately. Hey, sis. Hey, were you busy today? An alarm bell went off in Cole's head. This was a loaded question. Jasmine never asked that. Oh, I get it. Jordan the tomboy must have told Alex. He launched a preemptive strike. Not really busy, sis. I went to a dorm mixer. 6 dorms, tons of people. Halfway through, I ran into that Jordan Lou woman who said she owned the place. We ended up talking about Headline today, and she just called me a minute ago to set up a meeting at her lounge tomorrow to talk about advertising. Cole laid it all out. He knew Jasmine. Presented with the full, unvarnished truth, she wouldn't press him. Okay, I get it, she said. Just don't drink when you go. Don't want you messing things up. Why don't you come with me, sis? Okay. That single, softly spoken okay was filled with a quiet, undeniable pleasure. Cole let out a breath. He was off the hook. He planned to bring her anyway. It was good for her to be involved, to understand how the whole company operated. On the walk back, he chatted for a bit with his campus belle, Serena, listening to her whine playfully about how hard law school was. He had to admit, it sounded brutal. The next day, he did something remarkable. He went to his Ada M class and actually stayed for the entire morning. He was definitely behind on his coursework. Some of it was like a foreign language. But luckily, some of the basic classes were required for both finance and law, which meant he could just get some one-on-one tutoring at night to catch up. At 2 in the afternoon, Cole was standing at the gates of Eastwood Tech, right on time. As usual, he waited for about 20 minutes. And then she appeared. Cole's eyes lit up. They weren't just bright, they were blazing. Today, Jasmine was wearing a long, light blue V-neck sweater dress, layered under a khaki trench coat. Her chest, while not as full as Luna's, was still ample, a fact he had confirmed with his own eyes. The dress perfectly highlighted her flat stomach and long, slender legs. She'd done something different with her hair, too, curling the ends inward. But the thing that made Cole's heart hammer against his ribs was what she was wearing on her legs. Sheer black stockings. One of his weaknesses. His kryptonite. Black stockings. This was the first time Jasmine had ever worn them. Even though only a few inches of her calves were visible, Cole's overactive imagination instantly conjured up the high-definition, full-body version. An internal roar erupted in his mind. Sis, why would you wear these? Do you know how dangerous this is? I'm not sure I can wait until your brain is fully developed. As this stunning, sophisticated ice queen walked by, she instantly captured the gaze of every male within a 50-yard radius. The girls gritted their teeth in envy. The guy's eyes were practically glued to her. Oh my God, the Dragon Fairy is wearing black stockings. This is breaking news. When Jasmine reached him, she shot him a machinoid glare, 2 rosy blossoms blooming on her cheeks. What are you looking at? It was her first time ever wearing them, and she was oblivious to everyone else's stares. But with Cole, she was hyper-aware. She felt both shy and a little afraid he'd think she was being frivolous. But the look in his eyes, that rapt, mesmerized stare, reassured her, filling her with a swell of pride. That's right, you little punk. I'll drive you crazy. But all you can do is look. This is what you get for going to a mixer. What was so great about it, anyway? You look beautiful, sis, Cole said, his voice full of genuine awe. Oomph. You're just now realizing that? She replied haughtily, tossing her bag at him. Carry this. You got it. Cole slung the bag over his shoulder and in one smooth motion wrapped his arm around her slim waist, giving it a little squeeze. Are you trying to get killed? We're surrounded by people. Jasmine lightly slapped his arm. She glanced around and, as expected, saw the eyes of numerous students on them. Cole just grinned, refusing to let go. His hand held her waist, a perfect, unbeatable feeling. Your hand, Jasmine hissed, pinching a bit of skin on his side and twisting hard. Ow! Cole winced, pulling his hand back, but immediately crooking his elbow. Just as he'd predicted, his sister hooked her arm through his, a satisfied look on her face. It was her favorite way to walk with him. The lounge wasn't far. They walked along North Lake for about 10 minutes and arrived at a 2-story building called the Orchid Lounge. The decor was chic and modern with an Asian fusion twist. With no customers yet, the lights were off. A waiter cleaning up asked, "Are you Mr. Ch?" "I am. The owner is inside." The waiter gestured toward the back of the bar. "Thanks." Inside was a small meeting room where Jordan Lou was already standing to greet them. Her eyes lit up when she saw Jasmine. The tea's just brewed. Please have a seat. The room had plush, black leather sofas. Cole sank into one, and Jasmine sat down next to him. He looked around and offered a compliment. "Nice place. It's pretty big, too. You really went all out, Jordan." Ah, what good is a nice place if business is bad? Jordan sighed heavily. Do you have live music? We do. Starts at 9:30. The location is good, but it's a shame no one knows about it. I've been a student here this long, and I've never even heard of it. A lounge bar could do great business, but it relied on atmosphere and a certain vibe. A place to listen to music, sip a drink, and talk. If you couldn't get the word out, you were dead in the water. It wasn't like a loud nightclub that appealed to the masses. Cole, just tell me what to do. I'm not an expert on this stuff, Jordan said, leaning forward, ready to listen. If she'd had long hair, the gesture might have looked more graceful. But with her short, masculine haircut, it just looked odd. Two options, Cole began. One, I could put your bar in front of 1,000 people at a time, and you pay for every 1,000 views. Or two, I can show your bar to all our users, but you only pay when someone actually clicks on the ad. Views alone are free. He explained the two models, CPM and CPC, in more detail. For a niche business like a bar, CPC, cost per click, was the obvious choice. The exposure was free, and only genuinely interested people would click through to see pictures and read the promotional copy. Jordan understood, but she had a question. How do I know how many times it's been shown or how many times it's been clicked? You'll get access to a private client dashboard. You can track all the data in the back end, set keywords. It's super simple. You'll get it as soon as you see it. The Tea Alchemist uses a similar click-based model. Which one do you think is right for me? A lounge bar and a tea shop are both storefronts, but a lounge needs to filter its customers more carefully. That makes the click-based model even better for you. Only interested people will click, turning them into potential customers, who then convert into actual patrons. And for a lounge, we can use another method, embedding ads in our popular short stories. We can brand this place with a certain vibe, make an iconic spot people feel a connection to a place they have to visit. Cole spoke smoothly, watching Jordan's expressions. Beside him, Jasmine listened intently. This was part of her job now. She didn't have to do it, but she had to know it. Every so often, she would turn to look at her brother, her eyes shining with a pride that seemed to say, he's finally all grown up. An iconic spot? Jordan's eyes darted back and forth, only half understanding. Exactly, like the influencers on Headline today with huge followings. They have visibility and influence, and people flock to them. From Jordan's micro-expressions, Cole could tell she was already running the numbers. He was sure she'd have a decision soon. In the future, who knew? But right now, the only effective way to advertise on campus was Headline today. If she were trying to promote a wild nightclub, he wouldn't have touched it. The university deans would have been at his door. But a classy lounge was respectable, something he could promote openly. After a long silence, Jordan slapped her thigh. All right, Cole, my man, I'm in. You won't regret it, Jordan. Cole smiled and extended his hand. The hand of a nearly 19-year-old man clasped the hand of a 22-year-old tomboy. She was the first to pull away. Deal. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, I'll be at your office. See you at 10 then. Jordan thought about shaking Jasmine's hand, but seeing her politely distant expression, she decided against it. After leaving the lounge, they were walking along a greenway. Seeing no one around, Cole couldn't resist. He sidled up to his black-stockinged sister with a mischievous plan. Sis, you must be tired. Why don't we go back to our place and rest for a bit? Not a chance. Jasmine's arm was still looped gently through his, but her tone was firm. She bought the stockings and a matching super short skirt specifically to grant a certain someone's wish one day. She'd worn them today just to see his reaction, and the result was more than satisfying. Never one to give up, Cole leaned in close to her ear and whispered, well then, can I? You know, just a little. What are you trying to do? Jasmine shot him a mortified glare, pinching the arm he had offered her. You're always thinking about weird things. Ow, you pinch me again. That hurts. Cole winced. His sister was giving him no slack at all. Not after they had just kissed. Wearing those tempting stockings, but not giving him anything. What was up with that? Clearly, he hadn't kissed her enough. He reached out and cupped her face. The moment his hands touched her cheeks, Jasmine knew what the idiot was about to do. 100 yards away, people were walking toward them. Her face turned crimson as she pounded on his chest. You're insane. There are people here. But Cole's mouth had already covered hers. MMPH. MMPH. This time, no amount of pinching worked. Cole's left hand supported the back of her neck while his right rested on the small of her back, launching a gentle but firm invasion of her fragrant lips. The woman in his arms struggled feebly for a few moments before her body went soft, all resistance gone. And Cole, the plunderer, was met with a response, still clumsy, but trying its best to welcome him. A long, deep kiss. After a long moment, Jasmine managed to break free, burying her burning face in his shoulder. She knew this idiot would demand it. An old woman and an old man walked by, their eyes fixed on the two young people. Cole, utterly shameless, grinned at them, which made the elderly couple chuckle in response. Once they were gone, Jasmine hissed, her voice full of resentment. You do this right on the side of the path. It's so embarrassing. I want more, sis, Cole whined, shamelessly begging for another kiss. Jasmine pressed her cheek against his, desperately keeping his mouth at bay. I'm begging you. Sis is begging you. Can we do this next time when no one's around? This is really awkward. Okay, fine. But next time, I want to see the short skirt and the black stockings, Cole said, seizing the opportunity to lay out his terms. You. Jasmine, mortified, bit down on his shoulder, but the thick coat got in the way. She pushed it aside and bit his chest instead. Not the chest. That really hurts. Cole yelped. Now you know how much it hurt when you bit me, she said, her cheeks still flushed with a hint of indignation. She gave him another light bite before letting go, her voice laced with a lingering sense of grievance. Back then, she'd been willing to endure anything just to coax him to sleep. Cole felt a mix of awkwardness and a pang of sympathy. He remembered all. He'd broken the skin. It had hurt her for days. Overcome with emotion, he pulled her into a tight hug. They stayed like that for a while, until Jasmine's tense voice broke the silence. Someone else is coming. We should go. Okay, but what about what I said? Cole whispered pitifully into her ear. His only answer was a series of sharp pinches and a few light smacks. All you think about is dirty stuff. Hearing that, Cole grinned to himself. That's a yes. They released their embrace and walked arm in arm back toward Eastwood Tech. As they reached the gate, Jasmine turned and watched her brother's retreating figure, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. Judging by the ravenous look in his eyes today, she was certain that if she really wore the short skirt and black stockings, he would go absolutely insane. I'll torture you to death then, you little punk. I'll only let you sit and watch. That'll be your punishment. We'll see if you go to any more mixers after that. Back at Eastwood University, Cole immediately started drafting the contract, knowing he'd probably have to work late. He found a standard advertising template online and modified it to fit their needs. He was so focused that he worked straight through until after 8 p.m., forgetting to even eat dinner. Meanwhile, the marketing and promotions departments were brainstorming ad copy for the lounge. They were just waiting for the contract to be signed before heading to the site for a photo shoot. The next morning at 10, with no unexpected hitches, Jordan Liu appeared on the 15th floor of the Venture Lab. Cole gave her a tour of the Headline Today offices. Though it was only 2 rooms, Jordan was impressed. It was notoriously difficult for freshmen to secure office space in the Venture Lab. She had no idea what strings Cole had pulled. They finally sat down in the small conference room. You can prepay for the ad credit, Cole explained, his eyes shining with sincerity. Deposit as much as you want, starting at $500. But if you really want to make an impression, I'd suggest putting in more. Besides the Tea Alchemist, you're our first official client. Headline Today is going to put its full weight behind this push. Tens of thousands of university students will see the ad for your lounge. You can imagine how many will click to learn more. The advertiser dashboard had already been designed by Wyatt. For a programmer like him, it was child's play. 10 cents a click? So, $6,000 would be 60,000 clicks, Jordan calculated. Exactly. Done. I'll deposit $6,000. Last night, Jordan had been scrolling through Headline Today, getting a deeper sense of its popularity. The user base was active, with students from every college and department. It solidified her confidence. Don't you want to try the embedded short story ad? Cole pressed. It's perfect for a lounge. It'll really elevate the brand's image. How much? $1,500. I guarantee 3 placements at the story's dramatic climaxes. It will leave a lasting impression on our readers, Cole said, holding up one finger, his voice brimming with confidence. Jordan hesitated for only a moment before nodding decisively. She'd read that the cat who fell for the dog story and nearly had an aneurysm, but she'd become a fan nonetheless. She was already in for $6,000. What was another $1,500 to test the waters? According to Cole, if the ad credit wasn't used up, it was refundable. And if it was, that meant she'd gotten 60,000 clicks. If even a fraction of those converted to customers, it would be a massive win because those customers would create their own word-of-mouth buzz. She'd only pay for the ad once, but the effects could last a long time. She wasn't planning on advertising her barbecue place yet. First, she'd see how the lounge performed. If it was a success, she could just promote the barbecue from within the lounge itself. As a seasoned business owner, Jordan had her own shrewd calculations. She reviewed the contract terms carefully. After confirming everything was in order, they both signed and sealed the deal. She transferred the funds on the spot. One paid gladly, the other received happily. It was a successful signing. Jordan, my team will be at the lounge this afternoon for a photo shoot. I'll need you to give him a heads up. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Cole personally walked Jordan downstairs. Back in the office, he went straight to the editorial department. Fiona, he said, approaching her desk. I have a new mission for you. Fiona looked up with a pained expression. Boss, it's so hard. I have to rework the entire outline for the second half. Cole knew exactly what she was doing. You get a 30% commission. And in the future, if a client messages you directly to request product placement, you'll get 70%. Yay. Yay. Thank you, Mr. Chun. You're the best, Mr. Chun. Fiona jumped up ecstatic. That was an easy $450. All she had to do was tweak a few scenes to incorporate the lounge. It was practically effortless. The others looked on with envy, but Cole knew this kind of story integration wasn't scalable. As more people started writing, the user base would fragment, and the impact of text just couldn't compare to video. This was just a one-off deal. He then checked with the advertising and planning departments. When he learned none of them had ever actually been to a lounge, he waved a magnanimous hand and declared a team field trip. That afternoon, Cole and his team appeared at the Orchid Lounge. With no customers around, it was the perfect time for them to scout and shoot. The boss ordered a round of low-alcohol cocktails and some snacks for everyone. Jordan had already told the staff to put on the house, but Cole politely declined the offer. The 5 members of the 2 departments looked around with hopeful eyes, taking in everything: the decor, the stage where the singer performed, the bar. This was their first time seeing what a lounge was really like. Mr. Chun, is a lounge really that different from a nightclub? Whitney Yuan asked curiously. Many students had never been to a bar, either because they disliked the noisy atmosphere or were afraid of trouble. Let's put it this way, Cole said with a smile. A nightclub is about forgetting, while a lounge is about remembering. He continued, let me give you an example. Let's say you just got your heart broken. Mr. Chun, I've never even been in a relationship. I'm very hurt by this example. Whitney interjected, feigning sadness. The others snickered. Oh, haha. Let me rephrase, Cole said, a little flustered. Okay, let's say someone gets their heart broken. The DJ and the dancing at a nightclub will help them forget. The immersive atmosphere and the singer's soulful ballads at a lounge will make them dwell on the past. Whitney looked puzzled. Then obviously forgetting is better. Certainly, the heart-pounding beat of a nightclub makes it easy to forget, but that forgetting is temporary. The next morning, the pain is even worse. Then you want to go back, and you get addicted, but your wallet can't keep up. You go too often, you get lost in it, and you're more likely to run into trouble. Cole smiled again. A lounge is quieter. It makes you confront your memories more deeply, which is more painful in the moment, but it also makes it easier to find your true self and move on faster. But I feel like nightclubs are better at creating happiness, Whitney countered, still not fully convinced. Not entirely. A lounge has its own unique advantages. The breakup was just an example. Advantages? Yes. A lot of people, especially students, would love the feeling of a lounge. It's quiet, relaxing, stylish, chic, elegant. These are its strengths. Listening to music, having a heart-to-heart, just zoning out. Have you ever noticed how much people love to just zone out? Cole asked with a grin. The others looked thoughtful. It was true. They loved to just space out, empty their minds. Whitney had another question. But you can zone out anywhere. Why do it at a lounge? The others wanted to know, too. It's fundamentally different, Cole said, wagging a finger. A lounge has a few extra things. Things? Whitney couldn't guess. A drink, some soft music, and most importantly, the 2 words, lounge bar. Cole gave them a mysterious smile. 2 words. Whitney was completely lost. Just spit it out, boss. When you're in a lounge, holding a drink, bathed in dim light, with soft music in your ears, that's when zoning out becomes a transcendent experience, a moment for spiritual contemplation. The words lounge bar are like a hypnotic command. Walking into one is like triggering that command, entering a state of hypnosis where you can enjoy the ultimate relaxation. Cole half closed his eyes, as if picturing the scene he was describing. I get it, Mr. Chun. Whitney's eyes lit up with excitement. You mean like squatting in a corner to eat noodles? Or playing games in an internet cafe? Or reading a novel on the toilet? Cole had been nodding in approval, but at the last part, he almost spit out the cocktail he'd just sipped. The rest of the team burst out laughing. Whitney, Cole thought with a silent groan, can't you just let me be cool for 1 minute? You have no respect for your boss's image, do you? But he couldn't deny it. What she said was true. He had to concede. Yes, exactly. Zoning out anywhere else is just zoning out. But zoning out in a lounge is immersion. And it's not just for zoning out. Its elegant yet stylish environment is also perfect for friends to hang out, for couples on dates. And if you're lucky, you might even meet a kindred spirit you can really connect with. That last line was the core of the ad campaign he wanted. He felt a little smug, ready to break it down for them. I've got it. Mr. Chun, you want to brand the lounge with the encounter tag. Whitney's eyes were wide with realization. Brilliant. Cole, who had just been talking about elegance, had to give her a rather unelegant compliment. A thumbs up. Damn it. I can't even be cool for a second. He tried to salvage the moment. Whether you're single or fresh off a breakup, everyone yearns to meet someone who truly gets them. So we need to create that illusion. That guidance. But what if they never meet anyone? Won't they think we're lying? Whitney asked, a little worried, but the glint in her eyes clearly said, so, how do we lie effectively? What? Are we running a dating service? If they don't meet anyone, it just means fate hasn't aligned yet. So they should just come back more often, Cole said, rolling his eyes at his manager. She already gets it, but she's still making the boss say the quiet part out loud. This subordinate is something else. Mr. Chun, you're a genius. Whitney copied her boss, giving him an enthusiastic thumbs up. Cole chuckled internally. Why did being praised by her feel so unsatisfying? She was too smart. He'd have to make her work her tail off. He decided to get some petty revenge. So, the dance competition is getting close. Is everything ready? All set. Just waiting for the day to arrive, Whitney said with a confident nod, completely oblivious to her boss's scheming. She even added, so, the lounge is basically for everyone, right, Mr. Chun? Cole was at a loss. She was too competent to argue with. An idea struck him, another chance to be cool. He shook his finger stylishly. No. There's one type of person it's not for. This type doesn't go to nightclubs, and they won't come to a lounge. They're immune. What type, Mr. Chun? Whitney's interest was piqued. The others looked over as well. A simp, the boss said with a mysterious smile. A simp? What's that? Whitney's brain short-circuited. She'd heard of poodles and hyenas, but never a simp. A simp isn't a dog. It's a person. They are forever on the journey of simping. They have no other desires. You'll see them if you just watch. You'll know. Cole was so ruthless, he was even dissing his former self. At that moment, the male employee in the advertising department suddenly stiffened. A bitter smile crossed his face as he said, You don't have to watch. Just look at me. Everyone, including the bartender and waiter, turned to look at him. Their curious glances shifted to pity. So that was what a simp was. They knew he had a girlfriend, but the two rarely seemed to see each other. All he did was talk about her. His entire paycheck vanished the moment he got it, but none of it was sent home. Cole walked over with a grave expression and clapped the guy on the shoulder. It's okay. As long as you've scored, it's not a total loss. You got this. The women on the team didn't get it at first. A few seconds later, it dawned on them. Whitney blushed and shot her boss a light, disapproving glare. All right. Let's finish our drinks and get to work, Cole said, laughing heartily. The team got busy, scouting locations and taking photos. After a while, Whitney came over. Mr. Chun, we need to find a really pretty model, preferably one who can act with her eyes. Sure. Contact Fiona. She had files on all the campus belles. Hiring a model was already part of Cole's plan. At the Eastwood Tech School of Arts, Amy was excitedly changing into her prettiest clothes, doing her makeup and fixing her hair. She couldn't believe that Headline Today wanted her for an ad, a solo ad, not like the last time with a dozen other girls. This meant she'd been chosen. She was the best. Plus, she was getting paid 1,000 yuan, about $150, as soon as the shoot was over. How could she not be ecstatic? Her roommates watched with envy. An ad for Headline Today. Their roommate was about to get even more famous. When Amy followed the address to the Orchid Lounge and saw that Cole was there, her eyes lit up. Not caring that he was just a freshman, she hurried over and extended a delicate hand. Hello, Mr. Chun. Hello, Amy. Thanks for coming, Cole said with a smile, shaking her hand. The girl in front of him was quite pretty, about 5'5", with a good figure. She wore her hair in pigtails, giving off a very sweet and innocent vibe. But Cole was a man of the world. He knew that pigtails didn't necessarily mean innocence. It was just branding for the occasion. Amy's eyes flickered. She thought this freshman was quite handsome, with a captivating, mature charm. She felt a sudden, intense urge to playfully scratch his palm. On Headline Today, Amy's follower count had soared past 90,000 and was closing in on the six-figure mark. She was constantly being recognized on the street with a chorus of, Hi, Amy. It gave her an immense sense of satisfaction. The money she earned from post views was modest, but the intangible prestige was a golden ticket. Even the Arts College was scrambling to feature her in their events. If Headline Today went national, as one of its earliest influencers, she was sure she could ride that wave to success. Amy instantly cooled her head. If she wanted to set sail for bigger things, she couldn't engage in short-sighted flirtations. She naturally released his hand and went with Whitney to discuss the shoot. They worked until 5 o'clock. The advertising department's copy went through 2 days of polishing, rejected twice by Cole before the final version was approved. The client, Jordan Liu, saw a draft and was extremely pleased. That evening, the ad for the Orchid Lounge went live. Every student who opened Headline Today saw a large banner on the homepage. The headline read, "I'm waiting for you at the Orchid." The picture was a stunning shot of Amy, sitting in a wrought-tan chair by the window, a cocktail held loosely in her hand. Her face was sweet, her demeanor serene, her gaze fixed on something outside the window, distant and thoughtful. The headline was simple, so direct it was almost saying, "Hey you, come on in." Leo Yao was a junior in the optoelectronics department at Eastwood Tech. His family was well off, and he occasionally hit the nightclubs. Lately, he'd become addicted to scrolling through Headline Today. When the recommended post popped up, he was immediately captivated by the girl in the photo. It wasn't that he hadn't seen beautiful girls before, but there was something incredibly magnetic about her eyes. He couldn't help but wonder, what was she looking at? What was she thinking about? And where was the orchid? He couldn't resist. He clicked. It was a video. The story unfolded from the girl's perspective. It spoke of her loneliness, her melancholy, her hopes, her anticipation. She loved to just zone out, and whenever she felt the urge, she went to the Orchid Lounge. A drink, a small snack, a book, she would sit quietly, surrounded by soothing, soft music. The video showed her with different expressions, happy, sad, playful. The girl narrated her feelings about the orchid, her belief that her true love would one day appear right before her. Below the video was a brief introduction to the lounge, along with drink specials. Oh, so it's a lounge bar, Leo realized. It was a type of place he wasn't usually interested in. He found them a bit dull. The girls at nightclubs were wild and easy to have fun with. But for some reason, at this moment, he felt those girls were lacking something. His mind, so used to being stuffed with the deafening roar of a DJ, suddenly felt hollow. The ad went viral. The click count hit over 100,000 on the first day. Some people knew Amy, some didn't, but almost everyone was drawn in by her face and her eyes. After watching the full ad, they sighed with a shared sentiment. So, even a goddess can be this lonely? Everyone knew it was an ad, but they loved the vibe. And crucially, Amy kept saying she would sit there for hours with just one drink. Did that mean the owner wouldn't mind if you only ordered one thing? A drink was only a few bucks. Who couldn't afford that? That night, all 4 locations of the Orchid Lounge were packed, turning a cold winter night fiery hot. Students who had hoped to occupy a single table to project an air of leisurely sophistication had their plans foiled. But they weren't disappointed. The place was full of guys and girls, like a massive musical mixer. Thankfully, Cole had warned her, and Jordan had prepared the atmosphere perfectly. The lighting, the music, the discounted drinks and snacks. They even added outdoor seating. The house singer, originally scheduled for 9:30, started an hour early. Furthermore, Jordan paid Amy to make an appearance at each lounge for 10 minutes, greeting the students and giving the "I'm waiting for you" at the Orchid campaign a heartfelt conclusion. The 4 lounges saw their revenue explode, but more importantly, they had made a name for themselves. Amy earned an extra appearance fee and gained a ton of new followers, grinning from ear to ear. The next day, the Orchid opened early to accommodate the students who wanted to sit alone, read a book, and look cool. Everything was going smoothly. In room 1520 of the Venture Lab. "Mr. Chun, I feel like this ad is a bit weird," Fiona said, not quite voicing her suspicion. "It's kind of like a dating service." Cole replied, without even looking up from the ad click data. Yes, that's exactly the vibe," Fiona said, looking as if she'd found a kindred spirit, while thinking, "You said it, not me. That's basically what it is. A romantic music lounge mixer." "Huh," Cole admitted casually. It was the same principle as the dating apps of the future. "I'm waiting for you on Tinder. I'm waiting for you on OkCupid." Fiona raised an eyebrow. So it was just a straightforward pickup joint. Mr. Chin was a genius. A few guys from the engineering department had actually gone to the Orchid last night. Not to meet anyone, they claimed, just to relax. They wouldn't dare go to a nightclub, but a lounge that the boss himself had vetted felt safe. The atmosphere, they reported, was indeed excellent. The entire office was in awe of their boss. Aside from not knowing how to code, he seemed to be an expert at everything. They had no idea how a freshman could be so mature. After Fiona's serialized novel incorporated a scene set in the lounge, the orchid became even more popular. Jordan called several times to thank Cole, even offering to introduce him to new clients. But Cole's mind was no longer on the orchid. The dance competition was tonight. At 4 in the afternoon, 3 people were left to hold down the fort at the office, while everyone else, including the promotions department, went to help out. Whitney had been at the university gym all day. The stage and lighting were ready. Each university had an allotment of 500 audience tickets. Cole had even asked a few of the campus belles to help escort the university leaders and judges to their seats. The student union provided makeup artists and prop masters. All Cole had to do was pay them. All the dance teams had already arrived. Alex and her team were backstage, running through their routine one last time. Jasmine was there helping, and even Luna and Brianna were with them. Cole had given Luna 2 tickets, but she hadn't gone to her seat. Jasmine had messaged her on Facebook, asking her to help out backstage. Cole knew about it and wasn't worried. He knew both girls well enough to know they wouldn't discuss personal matters in such a busy setting. He didn't have time to visit them anyway. He had to report on the preparations to the Student Activities Board and coordinate with the firefighters assigned by the fire department to ensure safety. He also had the promotions team scattered around the venue to handle any unexpected situations. He was running around like a madman. Whitney was handling all the other miscellaneous tasks. Thankfully, the student union had provided some volunteers, whom Cole just had to keep supplied with fruit and snacks. As time passed, night fell. The audience from each university began to file in. The Eastwood University gym had one great advantage. It was incredibly warm in the winter. No one felt cold sitting inside. In fact, wearing too many layers made it hot. Just before 7, Serena showed her ticket at the entrance and walked in with her roommates. Cole had offered her 2 tickets, but her roommates had begged to come along, so she'd asked for 6 seats in the first 3 rows. The 6 girls walked into the Eastwood section, which happened to be right next to the backstage entrance. Serena and Zoe sat in the 3rd row, with Serena on the aisle. She noticed there was still an empty seat next to her, which she assumed was for a staff member. But it definitely wouldn't be her Cole, because he had to sit behind the judges and university leaders, on standby. At 7 o'clock sharp, the arena quieted down. The hosts entered the stage. It was a man and a woman, both from the broadcasting major and members of the Student Union's Arts and Sports Committee. Good evening, esteemed leaders, faculty, and all you enthusiastic students. Welcome to the Headline Cup Jazz Dance Competition, jointly hosted by the Eastwood University Student Activities Board and our partner universities, and exclusively sponsored by Headline today. The participating schools are: we are honored to have Professor Lu Shumin from Eastwood University, Professor XX from Eastwood Tech, for distinguished judges with us tonight. Headline today, where everyone can be a star. And now, let's have the representatives from each university's dance team come on stage to draw their performance numbers. While the teams nervously drew their numbers on stage, chaos reigned backstage. Whitney, with the best of intentions, said to Jasmine, "Director Young, Luna, you two should go sit in the audience. I've got everything covered here. I saved 2 seats for you nearby. Your original seats are too far away. Don't bother going there." Since Cole hadn't given Luna an official title, Whitney just called her by her name. Luna didn't care. Being called by her name was fine. "All right then, we'll leave it to you," Jasmine said. Seeing there were enough hands on deck, she felt at ease. She wanted to see Alex's performance anyway, though she already had a feeling that winning would be tough. She knew the teams from Eastwood and the Teachers College. They were strong, professional. Jasmine led Luna out from backstage, following the seat numbers Whitney had given them. They were in the 3rd row, right on the aisle. As they approached their seats, just before sitting down, Jasmine thought the profile of the girl sitting next to their spot looked vaguely familiar. She didn't think much of it and sat down. Jasmine was in the middle, with Luna to her left and Serena to her right. The guys in the surrounding seats couldn't help but stare. Even just seeing the backs of their heads was breathtaking. One was already stunning. Now there were 3 of them sitting together. It was a bit overwhelming. After a moment, that sense of familiarity returned to Jasmine, and she turned her head to look. At the same time, Serena sensed the gaze and turned as well. Their eyes met. Both froze for a second, a spark of recognition flashing in their eyes as they studied each other. It's Cole's classmate. Jasmine instantly remembered the girl from the hot pot dinner at the Creekside Galleria in Linden Creek. It's Cole's sister. Serena also remembered that night, and the pang of jealousy she'd felt. "Hello, hello." The 2 women offered polite smiles and greeted each other in soft voices almost simultaneously. "So you're at Eastwood too? What's your major?" Jasmine had never asked Cole, so she didn't know. "Law. What about you, sis? Are you at Eastwood too?" Serena, out of affection for Cole, felt a warmth toward Jasmine that replaced her earlier, uninformed jealousy. I'm at Eastwood Tech. Business Administration, Jasmine replied, studying the girl's face. It was a face still touched with youthful innocence, but incredibly beautiful and delicate, with a tall, graceful figure. Before she spoke, she was as cool and serene as a goddess. But the moment she smiled, she was like an angel who'd descended to earth, transforming into the girl next door. Her smile was utterly adorable and sweet. Eastwood Tech is so close. I should come visit you when I have time, sis. I'm just a freshman, so there's a lot I don't know, Serena said with a smile, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. Cole's sister was truly beautiful, with a great figure and a wonderful presence. Very much a big sister. Her features didn't much resemble Cole's, but it was normal for cousins not to look alike. She knew Cole was an only child, but he'd never specified if Jasmine was a paternal or maternal cousin. Of course, I come to Eastwood sometimes, too. I can visit you, Jasmine said, deliberately not mentioning the company. She wouldn't bring it up if she wasn't sure the other person knew, lest she seem like she was showing off. But Serena, in her unguarded state, let it slip. To help out at Cole's company? I'm going to work there too, as legal counsel. Oh, is that so? Jasmine's heart skipped a beat, but her expression remained unchanged. All right, you're in law. That's wonderful. A company always needs a legal department. A flurry of thoughts raced through her mind. The company didn't need legal counsel. That was a fact. But had Cole already chosen someone, and so quickly? A high school classmate, and one who was this beautiful? Did he trust her that much? What was it about her that had won him over? Jasmine thought of Luna. Her personality, her diligent attitude when she worked, plus her simple family background. It made sense that Cole would value her. But this girl in front of her, what were her strengths? It wasn't that Jasmine couldn't accept a beautiful girl as the company's lawyer. It was just an instinctive need to analyze, to understand what it was about her that attracted Cole. Her face, her figure. Jasmine felt a wave of conflict. She couldn't stop her mind from racing with speculation, but her rational side told her she shouldn't be suspicious. Mitchum, I have to study really hard so I could start helping out sooner, Serena said, her earnestness on full display, revealing her personal ambitions. MHM, you can do it. Jasmine couldn't help but encourage her, seeing how motivated she was for Cole's company. After a moment, she asked, I don't even know your name. I'm Jasmine Young, and you are? I'm Serena Shun. It's nice to meet you, Jasmine, Serena said, her eyes curving into crescent moons. She felt like she'd finally found her tribe. Anyone and anything connected to Cole made her feel an incredible sense of kinship and security. Nice to meet you, Serena. Jasmine smiled, but the conflict in her heart resurfaced. A spike of anxiety hit her. Did Cole choose her for her looks? But the girl's sincerity was palpable. She seemed to have no hidden motives and was genuinely friendly. That settled her nerves a little. Most importantly, she could tell that Serena was also whole. That meant Cole hadn't made any moves, just like with Luna. Her innate kindness won out. She couldn't bear to be suspicious anymore. She didn't want to make things difficult for Cole. With that decided, Jasmine warmly took Luna's hand. Let me introduce you to Serena. This is Luna and the company's future accountant. She's in the finance department here at Eastwood, also a freshman. Then she turned to the quiet, slightly bewildered Luna. This is Serena Shun from the law school. She's our future legal counsel and was Cole's classmate in high school. In middle school, Serena added with a brilliant smile, raising a hand. Luna quickly smiled and nodded a greeting. Hi, Serena. I'm still learning, so I'm not very professional yet. She hadn't been paying close attention to their conversation, feeling it was rude to eavesdrop. The fact that Cole's choice for a lawyer was a beautiful freshman didn't strike her as odd. When it came to work, she was a total rookie. Whatever Cole said went. Now that she knew they were old classmates, she just assumed he had hired her because they were close. In the past, seeing a girl this beautiful would have made her feel insecure. But things were different now. Cole had given her an immense sense of security. As long as she had Cole, did anything else matter? Not at all. Besides, she had the ultimate confidence, spelled out in the undisguised affection and hunger she saw in his eyes. She wasn't afraid. Hi, Luna. We can learn and grow together. Serena's smile remained as she looked at Luna, but her heart stirred. She's very pretty. When did Cole meet her? And, it seems, like, those are really big. A tiny spark of jealousy ignited in Serena's heart. It wasn't jealousy over Luna knowing Cole, but the natural competitiveness girls feel about size. But she wasn't worried. Serena thought, I have them too, and they're not small, okay? Besides, Cole absolutely loves my He loves them to death. With that thought, the little bit of jealousy vanished. Her smile brightened again as she reached out and took Luna's hand. At that moment, Luna's other hand was still in Jasmine's, making it look for a second like the three of them were all holding hands. Jasmine let go, formally introducing them. The two girls gave a firm shake before releasing their hands. All three turned their attention to the competition. At that moment, Cole, sitting behind the judge's table, was watching the performance intently. Eastwood College of Medicine had the bad luck of drawing the first lot. Their choreography was decent, but they seemed under-rehearsed. Maybe it was the pressure, but they made a few small mistakes. It didn't ruin the performance, though. Out of a perfect 10, they scored an 8.5. Amid polite applause, they left the stage with a hint of disappointment. The second team was from Eastwood Agricultural University. As a top-tier university, despite its name, it had its fair share of beauties. The rhythm was dynamic, the legs were long, the hips were swaying, it was bursting with energy. The key was their short skirts and safety shorts. You couldn't see anything, but that didn't stop the guys in the audience from cheering, their eyes wide. Cole, a man of worldly experience, was unmoved. He had kissed the lips of a top-tier campus belle. He had more than enough resistance to this sort of thing. He just silently scorned the male professors who were trying to look dignified while their eyes were glued to the stage. Bored, Cole let his gaze wander across the opposite stands, searching for his fragrant Jasmine, his creamy Serena, and his fruity little Luna. Where are they? He checked the seating area designated by the tickets he'd given out. They weren't there. His eyes swept past the section near the backstage tunnel, and he froze. His heart hammered. He looked back again, his dread mounting. As he focused, a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Holy crap, how are they sitting together? That's impossible. I put their seats on opposite sides. He had to give them tickets for the dance competition. It would have been a slight not to, but to avoid this exact scenario, he'd made careful preparations. Jasmine and Luna could sit together. They would never discuss personal matters at a formal event. He'd put them in the Headline Today staff section, a good 50 feet away from the Eastwood University section. And Serena and her roommates were supposed to be in the middle of the EU block. Maybe, possibly, someone else took their seats. Just as he was starting to panic, the three girls looked over at him. Their eyes met across the entire stadium. Even from this distance, Cole could feel their collective gaze on him. He saw Serena wave excitedly, while Jasmine and Luna just smiled. Cole steeled himself, waved back, and plastered a warm smile on his face. One wave, 3 targets. They were far apart, so he was safe. For now, he just didn't know if they had talked about other things. He wasn't too worried about Jasmine and Luna, but Serena. Still, Serena wasn't one to broadcast things. Cole realized he had to bet on her being reserved in Jasmine's presence. He made a decision. After the competition, he would find an excuse to stay behind in the gym. He'd leave after they were gone. They would probably leave together. If he showed up too, it would be risky. No, not risky. It would be a guaranteed meltdown. For the rest of the competition, he couldn't focus. He had to constantly meet the gazes of his 3 little darlings and return them with a timely smile. In the stands by the tunnel, Jasmine keenly sensed that the girls on either side of her were frequently looking at Cole. She had no proof. Their gazes had to cross the stage to get to him, so they could just be watching the competition. But a woman's intuition told her they were both looking at her Cole. Serena, on her right, was the most obvious. When she watched the performance, her expression was cool and aloof, but then she would suddenly break into a radiant smile. The problem was there was nothing funny happening on stage. Jasmine didn't turn her head to observe, relying entirely on her peripheral vision and intuition. When Serena smiled, her line of sight seemed to bypass the stage and focus on a specific point on the other side. And Luna, on her left, was the same. She was expressionless while watching the stage, and then suddenly, she'd be smiling faintly. What is going on? Jasmine followed their line of sight and could only see Cole, who was also smiling. But his smile seemed to be directed at her. The moment she saw it, her brain went fuzzy. All other thoughts were pushed aside, her heart filled to the brim with that idiot. The boy who was still half a child in her eyes was now capable of managing such a huge event. The sense of satisfaction was overwhelming. When Cole's gaze shifted, she snapped back to reality, her suspicions about the girls on either side returning. A moment later, she couldn't resist looking for her Cole again. It was a vicious cycle. Serena had no other thoughts in her head. Wherever Cole was, she felt comfortable and relaxed. And Luna was even simpler. She had no feelings for jazz dance. If this wasn't Cole's event, she wouldn't have even come. Being so far away from him was unsettling. If Jasmine hadn't been right next to her, she would have already walked over to him. There was one other person with complicated feelings, Zoe, sitting next to Serena. Ever since she found out that Cole was not only the owner of the Tea Alchemist, but also the owner of Headline Today, her perspective had shifted. At first, she felt indignant on her roommate's behalf, not wanting Serena to be with Cole. He was handsome, sure, but he didn't seem outstanding in other ways. With Serena's background and beauty, she deserved a more powerful boyfriend, which would make it easier for Zoe to ride her coattails. But now, things were different. Zoe even felt a pang of regret, cursing her own shallow judgment. Someone with Serena's advantages would have no trouble finding an equal match. But she was from an ordinary family. If only she had met Cole first. Sigh, it just wasn't in the cards. The stage was a whirlwind of dancing and loud music. The students were engrossed. After a full 2 hours, the competition finally reached its end. As the last team finished their performance, the stadium lights came up. The hosts returned to the stage. Headline Today, where everyone can be a star. The results of this competition are in. The highest score goes to the Dreamy Dolls from Eastwood University, with a score of 9.6. As Cole had expected, Eastwood University took the championship. Alex's team came in second. Third place went to the Lavender Girls from Eastwood Teachers College. After announcing the results, the female host smiled and said, "And now, let's welcome the founder and chairman of our exclusive sponsor, Headline Today, a freshman from the Eastwood University Finance Department, Mr. Cole Chun, to the stage to present the awards." The announcement sent a ripple of commotion through the crowd. Murmurs and whispers filled the air. Even though the voices were low, the sheer volume created a significant buzz. Almost everyone knew about Headline Today, but very few knew who the owner was. Most had imagined a bald, middle-aged man or some young, slick-suited entrepreneur. They never expected it to be a freshman from their own university. It was a bit of shock. The most excited people in the stadium were, of course, Cole's three little darlings. They were bursting with pride, waiting with a mix of nervousness and excitement for him to take the stage. The leaders and professors from Eastwood exchanged discreetly proud smiles and nods with their counterparts from other universities. That's right. The owner of Headline Today is one of our students. Under the expectant gaze of the entire audience, Cole straightened his collar, stood up, and strode confidently toward the stage. The gymnasium fell utterly silent. All eyes were fixed on the young man who had just stood up. It was as if thousands of X-rays were scanning Cole from head to toe. He was tall and quite handsome, though his clothes were unremarkable. This was the owner of Headline Today. The upperclassman watched with a complex mix of envy and jealousy, tinged with a deep sigh of introspection. What was I doing my freshman year? The upperclasswoman, without exception, had eyes that glittered like gold. The figure striding toward the center of the stage wasn't a person. He was a walking pile of money, a golden road to a better life. I wonder if there are any other cars on that road? If so, could he handle one more? My waist is very slim. The 10 seconds it took Cole to reach the host felt like a lifetime to the audience, a whirlwind of thoughts and reevaluations. Amy, serving as the award presenter, wore a perfectly appropriate makeup look and a smile of moderate admiration as she brought out the champion's trophy. 2 members of the promotions team followed, carrying a large plaque representing the $500 cash prize. Cole offered a reserved smile, accepting the trophy with both hands and presenting it to the captain of the Eastwood dance team. He then took the cash prize plaque and handed it to the other team members. He went down the line, shaking hands. They're all quite smooth. Huh, what's with the palm scratching? Do I look like that kind of guy? Cole kept a straight face, not looking at the bold young woman. Next came the group photo with the dance team. Click, click. Applause thundered as the jubilant dance team left the stage with their awards. The female host stopped Cole as he was about to leave. "Please stay for a moment, Cole. I'm sure everyone would love to hear a few words from you. Right, everyone?" she called out to the audience. Cole had been planning this. He smoothly paused, an expression of, "Well, I suppose I can, but I'd feel a bit awkward" on his face. "So, should I call you Mr. Chun or Cole?" the junior host teased, her eyes shining brightly. As the star host of the Arts and Sports Committee, her looks were top-notch, her presence easily scoring a 9 out of 10. The male host's looks, well, never mind. He just smiled, as if he hadn't noticed his partner's subtle fawning. He was used to it. Cole bowed slightly, took the microphone with both hands, and immediately turned to bow to the leadership and judges. He then bowed to the audience on all 4 sides, earning a massive wave of goodwill. Only then did he answer the host's question, his tone half joking, half serious. "Thank you, ma'am. Just Cole is fine. The title Mr. has a certain finality to it. I prefer a saying from Taoist philosophy. The 1 gives birth to 2, the 2 gives birth to 3, and the 3 gives birth to all things. So, it sounds like you don't like 1. You prefer 3? The host expertly followed up, opening the door for a deeper conversation. She was deeply impressed by his decision to bow before speaking. This kid has a future. That's right, Cole said, looking at the host before turning his gaze to the audience, his expression humble. I think the number 3 holds a lot of wisdom. It's positive and represents an open mind. Oh, could you explain that for us? She pressed. You can see it in our everyday expressions. For example, 3rd times the charm, which is very positive, a symbol of good luck. Or how about good things come in 3s? Then there's the idea of a 3-legged stool, representing stability and a solid foundation. You can also think of the 3 pillars of success: knowledge, ability, and character. That's my simple understanding of the number 3. I hope I haven't embarrassed myself. After speaking, Cole gave another slight bow. The leadership section was the first to applaud, followed by a thunderous ovation from the entire stadium. Cole wore an expression of sincere humility, bowing to all sides, embodying modesty. The male host was also applauding, but a flicker of contempt hid in his eyes. Why don't you talk about being 2-faced or 3-timing? But despite his disdain, his applause was louder than anyone's. I think I understand now why you were able to create headline today, the female host said, lavishing him with praise. She smoothly transitioned the topic to his company, and Cole immediately took the cue. The core of Headline today is to be open, inclusive, and to encourage innovation, giving everyone the chance to become a well-known star. It doesn't matter what year you're in or what your major is. You can showcase your talents and let more people know who you are. Some bring joy, some share their travel experiences, some create music for others to enjoy. It's a place where everyone can shine, find like-minded friends, and build something together. Thank you. Clap, 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 clap. The applause roared again. In the Eastwood Tech section, Ethan Sue sneered, not bothering to clap. He leaned over to his roommate. He's getting way too arrogant. Anyone could do this with enough money. His sister must have funded it. If someone gave me that money, I could do it too. Yeah, but his sister had to be willing to give it to him. His roommate replied non-committally, still clapping. This world is so unfair. Ethan sighed, his face a mask of resentment. Talented people get no support and are stuck, while the untalented get everything without even trying. His roommate glanced at him, then turned back to the stage without a word. The female host saw that time was running short and expertly took back the microphone. Thank you for your words, Cole, and thank you to Headline Today for supporting this competition. Cole quickly bowed again, returned a microphone to the male host, and walked back to his seat. There was still a concluding speech from a university leader. Not important. When Cole returned to his seat, he was surprised to find his male seatmate gone, replaced by a familiar face. Holly, the junior journalism student with the impressive chest who had interviewed him at the tea shop. What did she get here? As he sat down, Holly gave him a sultry smile and leaned in close. Your performance just now was amazing, freshman, she whispered. It was okay, just okay. When did you get here, Holly? Cole felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. 3 daggers of jealousy were being shot at him from across the stadium, piercing him with phantom pains. I've been here for a while, helping out. You should really be thanking me, your humble volunteer, Holly said, her eyes fixed on Cole, a strange fire flickering in their depths. Oh, well, I should definitely thank you then, Cole forced a laugh. Please go away, Holly, he pleaded internally. I can't handle this right now. I have 3 she-devils waiting for me. So how are you going to thank me? Buy me dinner. Holly's face was very close. The black cashmere sweater under her coat was stretched taut. She seemed to be wearing perfume, a faint scent that tickled Cole's nose and made him want to sneeze. How about I buy you a coffee? Just stop by the Tea Alchemist sometime, it's on me. I'll let them know. Oh, is that all? A flicker of disappointment crossed Holly's face, but she was one to press her advantage. Her smile became even more bewitching as she purred. Buy me a late-night snack, then. You invite, I'll pay. A glint of cunning flashed in Holly's eyes. I'll put it like that. How can you refuse now? I refuse to believe I can't satisfy you with one late-night snack. Cole to feel a bit awkward refusing. The upper-class woman before him had a seductive, mature vibe. Looking at her, she could have passed for a young married woman. What was that saying? When you're young, you don't appreciate. Mr. Chun, I have something to report. A head wedged itself between Holly and Cole. Huh, Yvonne, what is it? Cole tactically leaned back. His manager, Yvonne Wong, had her face way too close. She was also wearing makeup and smelled fragrant. Yvonne's looks were on par with Holly's, though she was a bit taller. The former was all long legs and a slim waist. The latter was all ample bosom. But Cole was in no mood to appreciate either. The three daggers aimed at him from across the stadium had practically materialized. He didn't dare look over. It's about the next promotional campaign. It's urgent, Yvonne said, turning to Holly with a slightly apologetic look. I'm sorry, but I have something important to discuss with my boss. Could I possibly trade seats with you? She pointed to an empty seat not far away, where 3 of the promotion's team members had been assigned. Fine, Holly said, clearly annoyed, but she had to give in. They were still in a public venue. She stood up, and as she passed over Yvonne's head, she shot a quick, flirtatious wink at Cole. Mr. Chun, remember what I said. Late night snack. I'll remember. Cole nodded with a strained smile. Just remember, he thought, not agree. It was best to skip that snack. If he was hungry, he could just find his fruity little Luna. She had more than enough to go around. As Holly swayed away, Yvonne quickly sat down. Hey, Mr. Chin, I just saved you. How are you going to thank me? What's with the formality? There's no need for thank yous between us, Cole said, knowing full well what his manager was after. All right then, I'll go ask that young lady to come back, Yvonne said, making a move to stand up. Fine, I'll thank you. Cole quickly stopped her, sighing internally. These employees are getting harder to manage. So slippery. Hey, what are you thinking? I really do have something to report. But it's not urgent. We can talk tomorrow. I just came over specifically to rescue you, Yvonne said, her tone a mix of complaint and flirtatious charm that was surprisingly alluring. She had no intention of actually blackmailing her boss. That would be counterproductive. She wanted to earn a favor while also gaining more of his trust. She needed to solidify her position at headline today. Smart girl. Cole complimented her with a nod. Since Yvonne had sat down, the thorn in his side had noticeably lessened. On stage, the university leader was still droning on. In the stands by the tunnel, Jasmine's face was frosted over with ice. Her gaze shot across the space, locking onto the curvy girl. How dare you make a move on my Cole? Do you believe I could publicly humiliate you right here, right now? Serena's cheeks were puffed out, her eyes filled with displeasure. If there weren't so many people, she would have already marched over there. Who is that? She's so obviously flirting with Cole. Shameless. Luna's expression was calm, but in reality, she was so angry her chest was heaving. She remembered that slightly heavier upper-class woman. She was big too, but not as big as herself. She'd come to the shop looking for Cole before. Thankfully, Cole hadn't looked at her. The 3 women had different thoughts, but a shared target. They all recognized Yvonne. Jasmine had seen her many times, Serena had seen her on Catbird Lane, and Luna had seen her on Tuesday when she went for reimbursement. So they relaxed. 15 minutes later, it was the 4 judges' turn to speak. Another 10 minutes after that, it was finally over. The students in the stands, half asleep, sighed in relief. As the host announced the successful conclusion of the competition, they all stood up, cheering. Guided by the Headline Today promotions team, they began to file out in an orderly fashion. Cole quickly went over to shake hands with the various leaders and professors, humbly accepting their encouragement. After seeing them off, he glanced at the stands. His fragrant, creamy, and fruity darlings were still sitting there. Holy crap, why haven't they left? They aren't waiting for me. I'm doomed. This is a disaster. He wasn't worried about Jasmine and Luna, but Serena was very likely to launch herself at him. Cole cleared his throat and addressed Yvonne with a solemn expression. Yvonne, I have an important mission for you. You want me to escort the 3 of them back, right? Yvonne's eyes were practically screaming. I've been waiting for you to say that. A flash of inspiration hit Cole. Yes, it's late. It's not safe for 3 girls to go back alone. You got it, Mr. Chun. You'll owe me for this one, Yvonne said with a playful wink. Fine. I'll owe you, Cole said, exasperated. This manager was too smart for her own good. But for a promotions expert, that was exactly what he needed. As the audience left, the volunteers began to clean up, with the Headline Today team pitching in. Yvonne walked briskly over to where the 3 girls were already heading in their direction. Cole was a bundle of nerves, mentally cheering Yvonne on. Hurry, intercept them, send them home. He watched as Yvonne started talking to the 3 women. They were about 40 yards away, but something seemed to be wrong. Yvonne turned her head and started blinking frantically. Cole realized something was amiss. Thinking fast, he waved his hands and shouted across the gym, You guys go on ahead. I have to stay behind for a bit. In this situation, a wide-net broadcast was always the right move. He saw Serena make a disappointed O shape with her mouth, her eyes full of reluctance. Luna's eyes were filled with a longing to go with him. Jasmine was more understanding and simply nodded. The 4 women turned and walked toward the exit together. Cole finally let out a breath. As long as they weren't all with him, the whole thing wouldn't collapse. He leisurely watched the staff clean up the venue, estimating the time. When he figured the four of them were probably by the road waiting for a car, he slowly made his way to the backstage tunnel. Finally, he could use the restroom. He had just finished when his phone rang. It was Serena. "Hey, Cole. Where are you?" "Oh, I'm in the restroom backstage. Are you in a car?" Cole asked casually as he zipped up his pants. "Nope. I just got to the backstage entrance. I'm coming in." The second half of her sentence was no longer coming from the phone. It was echoing from just outside the restroom. She was already inside. Cole felt a jolt. "Don't tell me they all came back." "Yvonne, what did you do?" "Okay, wait for me. I'm coming out now." He walked nervously out of the restroom, past the locker room, and saw Serena in the makeup room. Thankfully, she was alone. She was wearing a cream-colored high-neck cashmere sweater and skinny jeans that hugged her long, toned legs. Her delicate, beautiful face was alight with joy. She stomped her foot, opened her arms, and called out petulantly, "Cole, I need a hug. It's been days since I got a hug." "Come here, then." Cole smiled and opened his arms. If his creamy campus belle missed him this much, what else was there to say? He had to give her a hug. Her long legs carried her forward in a joyful sprint, and she leaped at him from a yard away. Cole caught her in a full embrace, his hands supporting her perky rear. Serena was ecstatic, kicking her legs like a child. She rubbed her cheek against his, humming contentedly. In their current position, Cole had basically fulfilled the promises from his love letter. "Cole, I missed you so much." Serena planted a light kiss on his cheek, then straightened her head so their noses were touching. Seeing her cherry-red lips right in front of him, a fire ignited in Cole's heart. He leaned in and pressed a kiss to her mouth. The same softness, a different fragrance. Cole, we're kissing." "MMPH." Before she could finish, Cole had silenced her. "MMPH. MMPH." Serena's eyes widened. A moment later, she wrapped her arms tightly around his neck and closed her eyes. Their lips and tongues intertwined, a sweet, all-consuming dance. Cole, the seasoned veteran, savored the moment while sneakily turning off his phone. He didn't know how many minutes had passed when a sudden knock came from the door. "Knock, knock, knock. Cole, are you in there?" It was Jasmine's voice. A bolt of lightning struck Cole's brain, instantly snapping him out of the sweet bliss of their kiss. His body went rigid. This is bad. Why is Jasmine here? "Knock, knock, knock." The knocking came again, but the door didn't open. Cole's heart leaped into his throat. Sensing the kiss had lost its intensity, Serena let out a soft sound and broke away. "What's wrong?" "MMPH." She was silenced again. Cole had no heart to savor it this time. He gave her a light kiss and then whispered, "Chill. Someone from the company is looking for me. It wouldn't be good if they saw." "Oh," Serena whispered back, coming to her senses. She obediently rested her head on his chest. Thinking about their passionate kiss made her feel hot all over. It was their first real kiss. The taste was so nice. Cole, holding the girl who seemed drunk on their kiss, moved with light, swift steps toward the locker room. He slipped inside and gently closed the door, not even checking if it was the men's or women's room in his haste. A moment later, he heard footsteps outside. There were at least 2 or 3 people, and their steps sounded familiar. Where did everyone go? It was Jasmine. Maybe they're in the restroom. Luna's soft voice followed. Could they be over by the other tunnel entrance? Yvonne's voice speculated. Serena clung to Cole, not daring to breathe. She was fully sober now. If his sister and the people from the company saw them hiding in here, kissing, how embarrassing would that be? Cole had a very bad feeling. The restroom is the only option. He carried Serena into the restroom and glanced around. Phew, men's room. He slipped into a stall and locked the door. Serena was like a little limpet, refusing to get down no matter where they went. Cole held the beautiful, soft, fragrant girl in his arms and sighed. The timing could not have been worse. His heart was pounding, and he was kicking himself. Why did I get so greedy? I should have just coaxed her to go home. Soon, the footsteps entered the locker room. Crap, it's just a few steps to the restroom. They wouldn't check every single stall, would they? Cole felt a wave of despair. Knowing Jasmine, she absolutely would check every single stall. Yvonne, you're unreliable. But at this point, all he could do was face the music. If Jasmine got angry and broke things off, he would have to shamelessly cling to her for the rest of his life. The footsteps were right outside the restroom door. Cole took a deep breath, preparing himself for the worst. Just then, he heard Yvonne speak. Director Young, Cole definitely wouldn't be in here. Serena probably got lost looking for the restroom and went down the wrong tunnel. Let's go check over there. I think he said something about settling payments with the student union. Fine, let's go look there, Jasmine said coolly, her tone unreadable. That guy? His phone is probably dead. The sound of their footsteps and voices gradually faded as they left the locker room. The heart that had been stuck in Cole's throat finally dropped back into his chest. In his arms, Serena looked up at him with wide, dark eyes and stuck her tongue out playfully. "Let's go. You can wait outside for them and go back together," Cole said softly. "Okay." Serena obediently agreed, then puckered her lips for another kiss. Cole obliged, giving her 2 quick pecks. Just then, he heard footsteps outside again. He jumped back in fright. "Mr. Chun, coast is clear. Come on out," Yvonne called from the locker room. Serena stuck her tongue out again and slid down from Cole's arms. Cole opened the door and was met with an awkward sight. Yvonne was waiting for him in the locker room. "Mr. Chun, you go around the outside. Be quick. Serena, you come with me." Without another word, Yvonne grabbed Serena's hand and started pulling her away. She didn't bother explaining how she knew he was in there. "Serena, in a bit, just say you were looking for the restroom and got lost. There's still a lot of headline today, employees around. It wouldn't be good for them to know the boss was having a secret meeting in here." "Okay," Serena said. She glanced back once before following Yvonne. Cole let out a sigh of relief. He wouldn't be so reckless next time. He had to be more careful. It was his own fault for being greedy. He went back to the restroom, splashed cold water on his face, and then slipped out of the backstage area, circling around the outside like a thief. Yvonne led Serena a short distance, not back into the gym, but toward the exit. "Serena, you should grab a cab back to campus first. If Director Yang asks you later, just say you went into that restroom, realized it was the men's and left, then got turned around on your way out." "Okay, I can handle it. You can go back now." "Thank you," Serena said, pulling her hand away. Her expression was calm, her tone and eyes revealing a cool composure that was a world away from the girl in Cole's arms. It took Yvonne by surprise. She had always thought Serena was a completely pure and innocent girl. But this demeanor, for a fleeting moment, she had the illusion that she wasn't looking at Serena, but at a doppelganger, a brilliant, calculating heiress from a powerful family. Did I misjudge her? You're welcome. I'll see you next time. "Oh, right. Your perfume is in the restroom," Yvonne said, flustered by this mysterious aura. She said something she hadn't planned to. "I know. Goodbye," Serena replied, then turned and walked toward the road. There were still some students chatting nearby, and it was still early, so it was safe. There were plenty of taxis, and Serena quickly got into one. Her eyes were perfectly calm, her thoughts crystal clear. With Cole and without Cole were 2 different things. Both were her. Her longing for him was as real as it got. If she had been discovered, she would have used it to declare her ownership. Since the lingering scent wasn't enough to give her away, then so be it. She would let nature take its course. She had sensed a crisis today. Too many girls had their eyes on her Cole. It was dangerous. Suddenly, the feeling of his kiss rushed back to her. The clarity in her eyes instantly faded, replaced by shyness and warmth. She leaned her head against the car window, replaying the sensations, a small smile gracing her lips. Inside the gym, Cole took a long lap around before accidentally running into Jasmine and Luna. "HM, I thought you 2 went back. Your legal counsel went to the restroom and disappeared. We were afraid she wasn't familiar with the place, so we came back to look for her. By the way, is your phone dead?" Jasmine's voice was calm, her eyes serene. But that very calmness felt to Cole like the eerie quiet before a storm. He suppressed the awkward feeling of being caught cheating and said, feigning annoyance, "It died. The student union probably couldn't find me." Jasmine grunted, her expression unreadable. Luna just stood there quietly, her eyes full of tenderness. Jasmine took out her phone, typed a quick reply, and then said, "Let's go back. Your legal counsel said she took a wrong turn and couldn't find us, so she grabbed a cab back by herself." Her eyes flashed with an inscrutable light that made Cole's heart pound with panic. Yvonne stood to the side, pretending to watch the promo team cleaning up, but her heart was thumping. She'd always thought of herself as quick-witted, emotionally intelligent, and decisive, a natural leader in the marketing department. But in the span of a few short minutes, she just witnessed what a true queen's aura felt like. All it took was a single glance. Both Jasmine, their director, and that sweet-faced Serena had transformed in an instant. They were impossible to read, their depths unfathomable. Yvonne felt a wave of uncertainty. Did she really have the nerve to step onto a battlefield like this? Her gaze shifted to Luna, who remained quiet and gentle. What about her? Yvonne wondered. Would she be an easier person to figure out? Just then, Luna turned and offered her a soft, harmless smile. Yvonne felt a small sense of relief. This one, at least, seemed genuinely gentle. She smiled back. The 4 of them hailed a cab. Yvonne took the front passenger seat. Cole sat in the middle of the back, with Luna on his left and Jasmine on his right. Jasmine's expression was neutral, but she didn't say a word, just stared out the window at the passing cars and pedestrians. The silence in the cab was unnervingly heavy. When they reached the gates of Eastwood University, Jasmine got out first, letting Cole and Luna slide out from the inside. Then, instead of leaving, she got back in. Cole was about to say, "Text me when you get back, sis," when Jasmine commanded, "Get in. Take me back to my campus. I need to talk to you." Oh, Cole obediently ducked back in the car. He never disobeyed an order from Jasmine. Luna watched him go, her eyes full of words she couldn't say. Finally, she turned and walked onto campus with Yvonne. As the car pulled away, Jasmine leaned close to Cole and began sniffing him all over, his arms, his chest, his neck. "Sis, what's wrong?" Cole's heart hammered, but he kept his expression calm, tinged with only a hint of confusion. The taxi driver glanced in the rearview mirror, his face a mask of bewilderment. Jasmine didn't answer, just kept sniffing until her face was close to his lips. Cole seized the opportunity and stole a quick kiss. That finally stopped her. She gave his shoulder a light, annoyed punch, and she just stared at him. "Did your classmate come find you?" "No, why?" "I thought she was with you guys," Cole said, his heart pounding furiously. But years of practice had made his poker face unshakable. He even managed to look surprised. Thank God he'd had the foresight to duck into a restroom and splash his face with cold water, wiping down his jacket with a wet hand. He'd even taken it off and flapped in the wind for a minute. And thank God Serena didn't wear perfume, just a faint scent from her shampoo and face cream. Otherwise, he'd never have gotten rid of it. Jasmine didn't respond, turning again to stare out the window, lost in thought. Her silence made Cole's stomach churn with a familiar mix of anxiety and guilt. He reached over and took her hand. It was ice cold. He pulled it into his lap, then tucked it under his own shirt, pressing it against the warmth of his stomach. Jasmine didn't pull away. She let him warm her hand, remaining perfectly still and silent. Seeing her like this twisted something in his gut, and a wave of profound guilt washed over him. He took her hand back out, then shifted his body, laying his head in her lap. He took her hand again and slipped it inside the collar of his shirt, pressing it against his warm chest. Then he did the same with her other cold hand. Cole lowered his gaze, sighing internally. He was a mess, a real scumbag, and he'd somehow found himself caught between these incredible women. All he could do was be as good to Jasmine as he possibly could. He'd asked himself if he could let any of them go, and the honest answer was no. Not unless they left him first. He was prepared for that, too. Life was unpredictable, after all. As he was thinking this, he looked up and met Jasmine's gaze. Her bright eyes were looking down at him. They held each other's stare for what felt like a full minute before she suddenly broke into a grin. "Look at you," she teased, "acting like you're the one who's been wronged." "I'm a little wronged," Cole said, sensing an opening and seizing it. "You weren't talking to me." "Oomph. I want something from you," Jasmine said, her expression turning serious as she gently pinched his cheek. "Anything, sis. Whatever I have is yours. I want all your money." She stared at him, her eyes unblinking, the light in them seeming to freeze in place. "Okay," Cole said without a moment's hesitation. "Headline today, The Tea Alchemist, all of it. I'll sign it all over to you for $1. The cash, too. We could go to a lawyer first thing in the morning." He was completely serious from the bottom of his soul. If this woman asked for it, he would give it. If she decided she was done with him afterward, he'd just start over. What was there to be afraid of? He'd consider it repayment for all the years she'd cared for him, and for all the ways he'd failed her in his past life. Jasmine was silent, studying his face. After a long moment, she finally spoke. "You'd really give it all up just like that?" "It's just stuff. It's not worth a single strand of your hair," Cole said, a deep affection rising in his eyes. "You can have my life." If this was where their story ended, he would have no regrets. But deep down, he knew she wouldn't do that. She was testing him. Still, the emotion he felt was real. Smack! Jasmine tapped him lightly on the lips. "Don't say such stupid things," she chided. Cole reached up, wrapping a hand around the back of her neck and gently pulling her down. Jasmine knew what he wanted and yielded, lowering her head. Their lips met in a passionate, searching kiss. The driver glanced in the mirror again and chuckled silently to himself. He'd already reached Eastwood Tech, but he kept driving, heading for an intersection where he could make a U-turn. He might as well earn a little extra. These two were clearly busy. When their lips parted, a thin strand of saliva connected them for a moment before Jasmine leaned in and broke it. Her eyes were full of a soft light. "You're my life," she whispered. "Sis." Cole's heart felt like it was going to burst. His eyes stung. "Sis, you're my life, too." A sharp pinch on his cheek. "Where did you learn to say things like that?" "I didn't." You just said it to me, Cole said, baffled by her sudden change. I was testing you. I knew you'd just copy me, she said, releasing his cheek only to pinch his side. Ow, hey, that hurts. When the car finally stopped at the gates of Eastwood Tech, the driver turned with a grin. That'll be $24. He'd driven them around in circles 4 times. He sighed. Would he ever get passengers like this again? Jasmine grabbed her bag, waved at Cole to go back to campus, and stood at the gate, watching until the bus he boarded pulled away and blocked him from view. Only then did she turn and walk toward her dorm, oblivious to the stares from those around her. Her mind was replaying the night's events. She was sure she'd smelled Serena's scent in the restroom, but the scent on her brother was faint, almost non-existent. She couldn't be 100% certain. It might have just been a lingering phantom in her own nose. And had that classmate of his really gone back to find him? She couldn't be sure of that, either. She had wanted to trick him, to trap him. Ever since they were kids, he'd always fallen for it. But the moment he'd taken her cold hands and pressed them against his warm chest, her resolve had crumbled. In the end, she'd asked a question she didn't need an answer to, just to test him. The answer she received had left her deeply satisfied, soothing all her anxieties. The money wasn't important. His decisive, unwavering attitude was. Her brother loved her. She'd received the message, loud and clear. But still, it was time to be on guard. Jasmine took out her phone, intending to send a message to Serena. After a moment's thought, she put it away. Some things required a steady hand. If there really was something going on, that girl, Yvonne, would definitely know the truth. Thinking back, Jasmine recalled Yvonne's behavior. It had been just a little bit suspicious. She'd have to find a time to test her. Meanwhile, Cole was humming a tune as he walked happily back toward Eastwood University. He needed the walk to clear his head. It was hard to say if Jasmine knew anything. Maybe she did. Maybe she was bluffing. Either way, with Jasmine, showing weakness was always the best and only strategy. Banking on her affection for him, Cole felt a little shameless. But what could he do? He wanted them all. He got back to the dorm around 10:30 at night and was immediately struck by a strange atmosphere. His 3 roommates were dead silent. A quick scan of the room revealed the problem. It was Frank. He looked like his soul had been sucked out of his body. Preston, their wealthy roommate, caught Cole's eye and jabbed his chin toward Frank, mouthing the word. Broke up. Cole was surprised. It hadn't even been 3 months. Weren't they doing great? What's going on? Cole asked Frank directly. Frank's eyelids twitched. He let out a weak, exhausted sigh, but didn't speak. What's the point of hiding it? Maybe Cole has some advice, Preston said, hopping down from his bunk. He got cheated on. What? Cole was stunned. The girl had seemed so quiet and sweet. How could she have cheated on him so soon? Frank's head hung low, as if he were on the verge of expiring. His silence was a confession. The girl he was dating met some upperclassmen during freshman orientation, Preston explained, acting as narrator. Good-looking guy, a dancer and singer. They added each other on Facebook right away. He's about Frank's height, a pretty boy type. Frank saw on her Facebook messages that she'd sent the guy leg pics and, you know. Preston left the rest unsaid, but Cole understood. He really hadn't seen that coming. How'd you see them? Cole asked, curious. We were out, and she went to the bathroom to change her. You know, her phone was in my hand, so I took a look, Frank said, his voice trembling and his face pale. Cole could only imagine the gut-wrenching moment of discovery. Cole fell silent. The guy was clearly owed a night of commiseration and probably a lot of beer. There's nothing else to say, man, he offered. You were right to break up with her. There are plenty of fish in the sea. You lost one, go catch another. But Cole, I can't stand being the one who got cheated on, Frank said, his face a mask of agony. Cole thought for a moment. That thing. Did your team score in this particular game? Huh, Frank didn't get it. He's asking if you slept with her. Preston, the ever-helpful translator, chimed in. Dude, of course I did. I'm not an idiot. Frank shot back with a flash of pride. Was she a virgin? Preston, the gossip hound, asked with a sly grin. No, Frank said, his brief moment of pride deflating. Well, there you go, Cole said, propping his feet up on his desk and tilting his chair back onto 2 legs. You didn't lose anything then. It's not like it was her first time, and it was some profound, life-changing experience. You broke up. The next one will be better. But I feel so ripped off. If she was already messing around with someone else, why was she still with me? Frank seethed. Honestly, man, that girl was just average, Preston scoffed. You in a wig would look better. What do you need her for? Dude, can you find another way to comfort me? Frank shot him a look that could kill, nearly fainting from the insult. Cole nodded in agreement. Preston's right. Frank, with your looks, you could totally find someone prettier. Huh? What do you mean? Frank suddenly perked up. Was there some hidden charm he wasn't aware of? Pretty girls don't like handsome, fair-skinned guys. You know why? Cole said, a mysterious look on his face. Why? It wasn't just Frank who was interested. Javi had materialized beside them. Because they look in the mirror, Cole said, revealing the punchline. The others didn't seem to get it. And girls who aren't so pretty love handsome, fair-skinned guys. You know what? The three of them stayed silent, waiting for the answer. Because they also look in the mirror, Cole said with a wink. It took them a second, but then they burst out laughing. Haha, that actually makes sense. Like you and that campus queen, Preston said. Javi nodded vigorously. Totally. Hey, I'm handsome, okay? Cole grumbled. What is wrong with you people's eyes? His three roommates looked at him in silence, a new thought dawning on them. Could Cole's weird theory actually be true? After a moment, Frank slumped again. But I still feel so ripped off. Cole didn't have any great solutions. It wasn't like they could go beat the guy up. Then, an idea sparked in his mind. Frank, you know Headline Today has a fiction section, right? Not really. I haven't been online much lately. Frank's eyes were blank. Go on Headline Today and make an account. Write your story. Call it, My Ex-Girlfriend's Billionaire Regret. What the hell? Frank looked completely lost. You want me to write about my ex sending dirty pictures to some pretty boy dancer? Don't be so dense. Cole rolled his eyes. Just mention in passing. Write a revenge story. After you're reborn, you become a master of all talents. You crush the dancer, become the hottest guy on campus, and then your ex comes back crying and begging you to take her back. But by then, you're already dating the campus queen. Anyone who got into Eastwood University had to have decent writing skills. If Frank put his mind to it, he could definitely pull it off. And then what? Frank asked, his eyes still glazed over with confusion. Then you submit it. I'll have the editors approve it and give you a featured spot, Cole said, stroking his chin. You'll become a famous short story writer. In the future, your ex will have to look up to you. There are thousands of guys in your situation on campus. If we promote enough, it could easily go viral. The fiction section needs more content like this. It'll make students even more hooked on Headline Today. You think that'll work? Frank was still skeptical. Just try it. God, stop whining. Preston said impatiently. So, I should try it. Get to it. Channel your grief into literary power. Show us what you've got. I'll have the editorial team give you some pointers, Cole said, realizing this helped him as much as it helped his roommate. He added a little more motivation. Remember, this is your only chance to completely crush that pretty boy. Looks mean nothing in the face of real power. Once your story blows up, you can pay him to dance for you, throw the money in his face, and then, as your ex watches with tears of regret, you turn and walk away. And just for fun, you'll have already stolen his new girlfriend. Do it, man. Cole just made you a promise. Don't let it go to waste, Preston added, fanning the flames. Steal his new girlfriend? A glint appeared in Frank's eyes. He clenched his jaw. I'm in. Shaking himself back to life, he sat down at his desk and booted up his old Lenovo laptop. The next day, Cole held a short meeting. He quickly summarized the lessons learned from the dance competition, praised the key personnel, and laid out their new tasks. First, the planning and advertising departments will merge into a new advertising and strategy department, with Whitney Yuan as the supervisor. I want you to start promoting the dance competition across Headline Today immediately to maximize its reach. Second, we're establishing a new marketing department, with Yvonne as the supervisor. This will oversee both promotions and sales. Start screening potential business clients around the university campuses and prepare for a major push to sell ads on Headline Today. Third, the editorial department can now start selecting high-quality short fiction for review, contracts, and ongoing support. Fourth, the engineering team will continue to optimize Headline Today's algorithm. I want our best content to get more visibility. Just as the meeting ended, his phone rang. It was Jordan Liu. Hey, Jordan. Cole, my friend, I've got a client for you. You free? Absolutely. Where are you? I'll come to you, Cole said, his spirits soaring. This referral was perfectly timed. He was just starting to worry that he didn't have enough successful case studies for his ad platform. Come to my lounge bar on North Lake at 2:30 this afternoon. You got it. See you then. After hanging up, Cole focused, mentally outlining his potential talking points. Yvonne was busy breaking down tasks for her new department, so he'd have to go alone. At 2:30 on the dot, Cole arrived at the Orchid Lounge. The bar was already open, with a few customers inside. Soft, soothing music played as couples and small groups of friends spoke in low voices. Cole went up to the second floor. Jordan wasn't in the office. Instead, a woman was sitting on the sofa, one leg crossed over the other, talking on the phone. She looked to be in her early 30s, with a face he'd rate at least an 8. 5 out of 10. She was about 5'5", with a figure that looked explosive under a form-fitting purple V-neck sweater dress and black stockings. Her makeup was subtle, giving her the look of a chic, sexy, and mature woman, but her aura was one of class and long-accustomed privilege. Cole took it all in with a single glance, instantly analyzing her appearance and making a rough assessment of her personality. Been a while since she's gotten any, he thought clinically. The woman looked up, her gaze deep and penetrating. Cole offered a polite nod and a smile. "Hi, I'm looking for Jordan." Just then, he heard footsteps on the stairs, and Jordan's voice followed. "Over here." "Cole, my friend, come on in and sit," Jordan said, leading him into the office. The woman ended her call with a quick, "I have something, I'll call you back," and hung up. There were 3 sofas in the office's reception area. The woman was on the long one in the middle. Jordan gestured for Cole to sit on the sofa to the woman's right, while she took the one opposite them. "Auntie, this is Cole," Jordan said. "Cole, this is my Aunt Vanessa Fan." "Hello." "Hello." Cole and Vanessa reached out and shook hands. Her hand was soft and cool. Although his aunt was only giving him a cursory glance, Cole felt like her deep-set eyes had already sized him up completely. He'd met his match. He was the same way, able to read someone and create a rough profile in an instant. But he figured his own disguise was pretty good. She wouldn't be able to see through him. "Auntie, you can tell him yourself," Jordan said, leaning back on the sofa, clearly not interested in being the middleman. Vanessa's lips curved into a smile, her gaze polite but appraising. "You're so young, Cole. I was expecting someone older." "Please call me Cole," he said with a humble smile. "I'm friends with Jordan, no need for formalities." He could feel her still observing him, as if she wouldn't rest until she'd figured him out. "Well, I heard about your work from Jordan, and I've seen her financial reports for the last few weeks. The growth is truly astonishing," Vanessa said, her eyes still locked on him, a smile playing on her full, red lips. Her speech was crisp and standard American English, unlike Jordan's slight local accent. "I own 2 seafood buffet restaurants myself, one at the Gallery and one at the Jianshan Plaza. I'm not afraid to admit, business is terrible. I'm on the verge of closing down." She had seamlessly switched to calling him Cole, a move he felt stemmed not from his friendship with her niece, but from her own sense of status. Sitting closer, Cole noticed the high quality of her purple sweater dress. It had to be top-grade silk. Even her black stockings had a smooth, soft sheen. He'd never touched anything like them, but as practiced, I could judge these things in a flash. For an old dog like him, these were essential skills. "Is it only seafood? Do you have things like barbecue?" Cole asked. He'd never been to either location, but they were both near universities, which should have been prime real estate. "Yes, we have other things too," Vanessa nodded. Her hair was swept back in a simple, elegant bun, giving her a very chic, sophisticated look. She'd probably spent some time in Europe. "Have you done any advertising?" Cole asked, consciously forcing his eyes not to drift down to her black stockings. She was a potential client. Money was more important. "Andy, Cole, you two talk. I'm going to make a call," Jordan said, looking a little sleepy. It wasn't her business, so she wasn't particularly interested. She got up and left. "Only when we first opened," Vanessa admitted, not paying her niece any mind. "I understand. Let me give you my analysis. If I'm wrong about anything, please forgive me." Cole barely had to think. The root of the problem was obvious. "Go ahead, Cole," Vanessa said, seeming intrigued. But Cole noted that the calculating look in her eyes hadn't changed. "First, you don't have enough publicity. There are a ton of dining options around here. A buffet isn't like a classic restaurant or a snack stall. If you don't get the word out, no one even knows you exist. Second, your branding is a problem. The Caspian Grill sounds high-end. The average student wouldn't dare go in, even though it's perfect for group dinners. The name is intimidating. In this era, the average student heard grill or seafood and assumed it was terrifyingly expensive. And it usually was. It wasn't a place people would go on a whim. I agree with you, Cole. I thought the same thing. I kept it going because I thought the local spending power was decent," Vanessa said, nodding repeatedly. For the first time, she seemed to feel that this 18-year-old kid actually had some substance. She was about to say more when a girl's voice called from the bottom of the stairs. "Mom, come down. I think Yuan hurt his paw." "Oh, okay. What happened?" Vanessa's face filled with alarm, as if this Yuan was incredibly important. She scrambled to her feet, trying to take a shortcut between Cole and the coffee table. In her haste, the toe of her high heel caught on the table leg. She stumbled. She was about to fall face first into the corner of the table. A direct hit could easily break her nose. Cole's reflexes kicked in. He shot out a hand, grabbing her shoulder, while his other arm formed a barrier across her waist, stopping her momentum just in the nick of time. He managed to catch her just before she crashed into the coffee table. Hearing Vanessa's cry, the girl who had called for her mother came clattering up the stairs. Because Vanessa had twisted her ankle when her foot hit the table, she was in too much pain to stand up on her own. Before she could regain her balance, a young woman burst into the room. "What are you two doing?" Cole's scalp tingled. He glanced over, mortified. It was that cool, aloof girl, Lynn, and she was staring at him with undisguised anger. "You gotta be kidding me. I didn't do anything." He quickly adopted a concerned expression. "Ms. Fan, is your foot okay?" "It hurts a little. I think I hit the bone." "Lynn, help me up," Vanessa said, realizing how her daughter might misinterpret the scene. A blush crept up her face. "Mom, what happened?" Lynn's eyes darted to Cole's hands. She saw that one arm was supporting her mother's body, his fist clenched, while the hand on her shoulder was open-palmed. She relaxed slightly. At least his hands were being gentlemanly. She hurried over to support her mother. Cole took the opportunity to let go, sighing internally. No good deed goes unpunished. He felt so constrained. This was the effect his 3 girls had on him. Otherwise, he would have just wrapped his arms around her and set her upright. To hell with appearances. "Lynn, let's go check on Yuan," Vanessa said, limping and not daring to put weight on her foot, but still preoccupied with this Yuan. Cole glanced at her foot. The shoe was covering it, so it was probably fine. She was likely just used to being pampered and was afraid to walk on it. "Cole, please have a seat for a moment," Vanessa said, finally remembering him as she was leaving. Of course. Cole remained in the office, feeling awkward and bored. He could faintly hear the mother and daughter talking. "Why are you so sensitive? He's about your age. You're making a scene. How was I supposed to know? I thought you were being taken advantage of." "How could I be taken advantage of? It would be nice if you gave me less grief." "What if? I was just trying to protect you." Cole rolled his eyes. "I'd have to be crazy to make a move on her. Why would I bother with an older woman when I have 3 fresh, young beauties? She's probably got wrinkles and a bad attitude. Maybe her hormones are out of whack and she smells bad." As an experienced man, Cole found that prospect highly unappealing. No, he needed to go home and get a dose of his girl's sweet scent to soothe his wounded soul. He waited for a while, but no one came back up. What was the deal? Was this Yuan really that important? After another few minutes, Jordan finally reappeared. She looked apologetic. "Cole, my friend, my aunt went home to put some ointment on her foot. She wants to reschedule for tomorrow at her office." "Oh, that's fine. I'll head back to campus then," Cole said with a smile. There was a chance. That helping hand hadn't been for nothing. Back at the university, he checked the time. Instead of going to the office, he went back to the dorm to get his books for class. Besides closing the deal with Vanessa, he didn't have anything else urgent. He actually sat through class until 8 o'clock that night. Preston and Javi were shocked. Frank had an excused absence, but Cole, Mr. Skip Class Champion, was actually trying to be a good student? As it turned out, no. The next morning, Cole was back to his old ways. He had to skip. At 7 a.m., he received a text from Jordan with Vanessa's office address and their meeting time. The Gallery, Office Tower A, Suite 3320. 10:30 a.m. "I have to close this deal," Cole told himself. A big buffet like hers would need a long-term ad contract. It would be a significant and steady source of revenue. He thought about asking someone to go with him, but Yvonne was already out with the promotions team. Whitney wasn't a good fit. She was too blunt. Fiona from editorial was even worse. He sighed. The boss would have to handle this one himself. At 10:20 a.m., Cole arrived on the 33rd floor of the gallery's office tower. He found Suite 3320 and rang the doorbell. A moment later, Vanessa opened the glass door. Today she was wearing an orange turtleneck sweater with a knee-length, light gray skirt. And, of course, the black stockings. The moment she saw him, a grateful smile spread across her face. "Cole, you're here. Come in." He stepped inside. There was a small, empty reception desk. To the left was a meeting area cluttered with boxes and miscellaneous items. "It's a bit messy. Please don't mind," Vanessa said, a little embarrassed. "Did you just move in, Ms. Fan?" "Yes, I rented out the larger office over there." Cole's eyes flashed. What did that mean? Did she? On the whole floor? There was another door to the left of the meeting area. He followed Vanessa through it into a smaller office, which had yet another door inside it, probably a makeshift break room. After they sat down, Vanessa handed him a bottle of water and started talking about the buffet's performance over the past year. "So, Cole, what do you think I should do?" Vanessa asked, her gaze now holding a measure of respect. She was discovering that this young man was insightful and always hit the nail on the head. "Ms. Fan, same as with Jordan's Lounge. Advertise on headline today. You're surrounded by universities. It would be a waste not to promote your business to them, Cole said, getting straight to the point. In the name, when we promote it, we'll make sure to add in barbecue and other options in bold, eye-catching text. We'll use our ad copy to build a strong impression. Cole was confident that Vanessa had already looked into headline today's influence. Otherwise, she wouldn't have called him here. Can you achieve the same results you got for the Orchid Lounge? I can't give you a 100% guarantee, but I'll do my best. College students are always going on dates and having group gatherings. I'll tailor a campaign that's perfect for them. Will my restaurants need to? Vanessa started to ask, but she was cut off by the doorbell. Ding dong. Ding dong, a girl's voice called out, Mom, open the door. Her again? Cole groaned inwardly. But what happened next was even more frustrating. Vanessa's face fell, and she stammered, Cole, can you hide for a second? Lynn, she still has some misunderstandings about you. Huh? Cole was dumbfounded. Misunderstanding about what? Cole, there's no time. Please help me out. She grew up without a father and has a very difficult temper. I don't want to fight with her, Vanessa pleaded. Cole couldn't bear to see her so distressed. Thinking of the potential revenue, he agreed. Fine, but where do I hide? He scanned the room. There was just a desk and 2 chairs. Quick, follow me. By now, the doorbell was ringing nonstop. Vanessa was on the verge of panic. Cole felt like a criminal as he followed her into the inner room. It held a full-sized bed and a 3-door wardrobe, and the air was thick with a floral fragrance. He thought he'd be safe in here, but then Vanessa turned to him with an embarrassed expression. Cole, you have to get in here. She opened the wardrobe door. What the F-U-C-K? Cole's mind went blank. I'm here to sell ads, not to be the other man in an affair. The doorbell was still ringing, now accompanied by the sound of someone knocking on the glass door. Vanessa's face was a mixture of apology and sheer panic. Cole, feeling a pang of pity, had no choice but to step into the wardrobe, which was filled with hanging clothes. Thankfully, there were no shelves. He had to crouch, tuck his neck, and stand sideways just to fit. This is bullshit, Cole cursed internally. Don't make a sound, and don't come out, Vanessa whispered before shutting the door. He heard her footsteps recede, followed by her complaining voice. What is it? I was just taking a little nap, and you have to come and bother me. Cole huddled in the pitch-black wardrobe, not daring to breathe. The closet was overwhelmingly fragrant, and something soft was tickling his nose, making him want to sneeze. He held his breath, steadied himself, and reached out to grab whatever it was. It was soft and thin, with no underwire. A large cup size, but probably not as big as Luna's. Lynn's voice entered the room along with her footsteps. If you were napping, why aren't the covers turned down? It was just a quick nap. Why would I turn down the covers? What are you doing here? Vanessa followed her in. Just came to see you. A man and a woman talking business alone. I was worried you'd get taken advantage of. What are you imagining? The man is a perfect gentleman, and I'm a grown woman. Hasn't he arrived yet? He said maybe this afternoon. Oh. Lynn's footsteps approached the wardrobe door, and Cole held his breath. He was filled with regret. Why had he agreed to this? If she pulled open that door, he could only imagine the fallout. Where's Yuan? Vanessa asked, her voice surprisingly calm. In the car. Why did you leave him in the car? He'll scratch up the seats. Go get him now. Vanessa's tone shifted, and she snapped, Go. Okay, I'm going. A few seconds later, he heard footsteps moving away from the wardrobe and out of the room. Vanessa's heels clicked away as well, followed by the sound of the glass door opening. Cole finally let out a huge sigh of relief. Holy hell, that was beyond awkward. He was getting all the anxiety of an affair with none of the fun. Ms. Fan, you'd better compensate me for this. $100,000 ad, it seems about right. As he was thinking this, the sound of heels returned. The wardrobe door opened to reveal Vanessa's apologetic face. I'm so sorry, Cole. I'm so sorry to put you through that. I really had no other choice. It's fine. The closet's just a bit small. Otherwise, I could have taken a nap in there, Cole joked as he stepped out. A bra, knocked loose, fell and slapped him in the face. They both froze in awkward silence. Cole, I'm sorry. Please, go back to your office for now. Take freight elevator number 2. It's to the right, and then another right at the end of the hall, Vanessa said, her voice full of apology. I'll come to your office this afternoon to sign the contract. The deal is on. I trust you. On? The deal was on? Cole's spirits lifted. He puffed out his chest. Great, Ms. Fan. Don't worry. I'll make sure your daughter doesn't see me. I'll be waiting for you this afternoon. Sweet. Another ad contract in the bag. The portfolio for headline today was getting more impressive by the day, which would make Yvonne's job much easier. Today's humiliation was worth it. Okay, good. I'll be there around 2. Just have the contract ready, Vanessa said, her eyes unintentionally flicking toward the wardrobe, where a bra was now hanging askew. A faint blush colored her cheeks. Great, I'll be going then, Ms. Fan. See you this afternoon. See you this afternoon. Under Vanessa's soft gaze, Cole left the office, found a freight elevator exactly where she said it would be, and managed to leave the gallery without running into Lynn. It had been a close call. Back at Eastwood University, he didn't go to the office. He went straight to his dorm to take a nap and try to erase the lingering resentment of having been stuffed in a closet. He walked into the room and was startled to see Frank staring at the wall, his eyes bloodshot. Are you turning into a zombie? Cole asked warily. No, I feel like my soul has ascended, Frank said, his face expressionless. He pointed at his computer screen. Behold, 20,000 words are complete. 20,000 words. Cole was stunned. He walked over and saw a folder containing 10 chapter documents. How was that possible? It was almost unbelievable. He clicked open the first chapter and started reading. Half an hour later, he looked up and gave Frank a thumbs up. Damn, dude, this is impressive. In a single night, Frank had churned out 20,000 words. His reborn protagonist was a master of every musical instrument, could sing, dance, rap, write songs, and compose music. He systematically humiliated his ex-girlfriend and the douchebag she left him for, all while the campus queen fell madly in love with him. It was a seamless torrent of wish fulfillment and revenge. So, is it any good? Frank asked, breathing heavily. It's good. Really good, Cole said with a firm nod. For 2010, this was high-quality stuff. Even in the years to come, it would attract a solid fan base. Go submit it on Headline today. I already talked to the editorial department. Just message them on Facebook Messenger and give them your name. Okay, I'll do it right now, Frank said, a flicker of excitement in his bloodshot eyes. Cole didn't tell him to get some rest. A man hell-bent on revenge doesn't sleep. He had a feeling this story was going to be a hit, which was great news for the fiction section. After a short nap and a quick bite at the cafeteria, Cole headed to their office in the Venture Lab. He had the contract ready before 1:30. Cole, did you land another ad client? Fiona, the editor, asked, munching on snacks as she watched him bustle around. Yeah, no thanks to you for helping. Cole shot back a look. Now that her own short stories were taking off, Ms. Fiona was getting a bit cocky. Maybe it was time to lower her per-click payout. I don't know anything about contracts. Besides, I have to review your roommate's manuscript, Fiona said, her words muffled by the crunching of chips. What do you think of it? Cole asked. It's okay. I'm not an expert on male-oriented fiction, but the emotions feel raw. Fiona nodded like an old pro. Raw emotion is all that matters. The rest is just details, Cole said, reviewing the changes he'd made to the contract. Isn't he a little too perfect? He can do everything. Is your story about billionaire CEOs and wealthy heiresses realistic? Fair point. 5 minutes past 2, their client finally arrived. Sorry I'm late, Cole. I got held up at the Eastwood gate, Vanessa said apologetically. Lynn was with her, silent, and eyeing Cole with extreme suspicion. No problem, is. Fan. I just finished getting it ready, Cole said with a smile. Vanessa was quite considerate, apologizing for being only 5 minutes late. It showed she was professional and respected his time. That made for a reliable business partner. They sat down in the small conference room. After Cole explained the advertising fees and strategy, Vanessa carefully reviewed the contract. Cole, she said with a smile, I'll start with an $8,000 deposit. If you can double my restaurant's revenue in 1 month, I'll add another $8,000. She understood the importance of a sustained campaign. You had to spend money to make money. $10,000 or $20,000 was nothing for 2 restaurants. Rent and utilities alone cost a fortune. If this worked, she wouldn't mind continuing to invest. Of course, that all depended on whether Headline Today's influence could truly extend beyond the campus grounds. Ms. Fan, rest assured, I will do my absolute best. I'll have a full proposal ready within 3 days for your review. Perfect. I have confidence in your work, Cole. Thank you for your trust, Ms. Fan, Cole said, extending his hand. Of course you trust me, he thought. I hid in a closet for you. As they shook hands, Lynn stared daggers at their joined hands. Luckily, it was a brief handshake, or her glare might have set his hand on fire. Cole pretended not to notice. Honestly, does she think her mom is prettier than my girls? He personally escorted Vanessa and her daughter downstairs. The very next morning, he sent Whitney and her team to do an on-site visit. Having learned from the lounge bar campaign, Whitney had a solid grasp of the advertising strategy. Less than 3 days later, the final ad copy was ready. In the meantime, Cole had sent the editorial and advertising departments to the Caspian Grill to act as customers and stage a group dinner for photos. He reviewed the final product and felt confident that he could trust Whitney to handle it. Vanessa was also very pleased with the ads. The campaign for the Caspian Grill and Buffet officially went live. For now, the keywords seafood and barbecue were dominated by Caspian. That would change in the future, of course. It was an auction. Whoever paid the most got the top spot. At the Eastwood University School of Arts, Leo Liu, the president of the street dance club, was trying to figure out where to take his members for a group dinner. The club was a melting pot of students from all over the country with wildly different tastes. There was a girl from the South who loved spicy food, a guy from California who couldn't handle any heat at all, and a guy from Boston with a sweet tooth. It was giving Leo a massive headache. They tried other restaurants, but there was always someone who couldn't find anything to eat. As he was scrolling through Headline today, a headline caught his eye. WE found the perfect spot for your next group dinner. Something for everyone. No more fighting over what to eat. The Caspian Grill and Buffet, $15/person. Show this headline today, coupon code, and get $5 off. You'll have to be rolled out the door. Only $10 a person? Leo's interest was piqued. He clicked on the article and saw a photo series of 7 or 8 students enjoying a meal. The screen was filled with pictures of a dazzling array of dishes. Could it really be that cheap? Leo was skeptical. Normally, a seafood buffet cost at least $30 to $40, and this place was at the Gallery of all places. Leo had heard of it, but had never gone, assuming that a place at the Gallery would be upwards of $45. Who could afford that? But for this price, it was worth a shot. He immediately sent a message to the dance club's group chat. Like Leo, students at other universities were planning group dinners and dates. It was an especially perfect idea for dorm mixers. That night, both locations of the Caspian Grill and Buffet were swamped. They were packed to capacity, with a line stretching out the door. Reservations were booked solid for the next 3 days. When business was slow, the 2 restaurants felt cavernously empty. When it was booming, they couldn't hold a fraction of the demand. 3 days later, Vanessa called and added another $8,000 to her ad budget. Cole was so happy he could have grinned from ear to ear. He specifically assigned Whitney to follow up and take photos of the packed restaurants, creating more material to support Yvonne's sales efforts. That evening, Yvonne returned to the office looking dejected. For the past few days, she'd been negotiating with the owner of a local makeup chain, but hadn't been able to close the deal. Her confidence was shaken. Is the owner a man or a woman? How old? Cole asked with a smile. A woman. In her 40s, divorced, no kids. She's a brick wall, Yvonne said, frustrated. Is her business doing well? Not great, but not terrible either. Just sort of getting by. Her main customers are young moms. How many stores? 8. All in the basements of major shopping centers. It's a budget brand. So affordable prices. Right. It's not a major brand. It's called Viridian Fields. Never heard of it. Cole frowned. A name like that was destined to fail. The only similar brand he knew of that made it big was Origins. Okay, what about the other businesses? A chain of fried chicken places is considering it. A chain of arcades and 2 hot pot restaurants are also interested, but they all want to wait and see. Exactly. I get it. Keep following up with them. I'll go check out this Viridian Fields tonight, Cole said thoughtfully. Want me to come with you? No. What if she recognizes you? All right. Around 5 o'clock, Cole sent a message to Jasmine. Her perspective was always sharp. Maybe she could help him find a few more weaknesses to exploit. A few minutes later, she replied, Cole, I already made plans with Alex and some of the girls to go buy lingerie. It's a girls-only thing. Oh, Cole thought for a moment, then sent a message to Serena. Come with me somewhere tonight. We can get hot pot afterward. Serena's powers of observation were also excellent. She replied almost instantly. Can we do it tomorrow night? Kiss emoji, I have class tonight. Okay, some other time then. Cole sighed. What terrible timing. That left Luna. It made more sense to take a girl to investigate a makeup brand anyway. He sent her a message. Lou, come out with me for a bit. 2 minutes later, Luna replied. Okay, I just got out of class. I'll change and come down. Sounds good. Thank goodness Luna didn't have class. Otherwise, he would have had to take Yvonne. But taking Luna was good, too. She was very observant. Half an hour later, Cole met Luna downstairs from the accounting department's dorm. Her hair was pulled back in a low ponytail, and her face was lit up with a happy smile. She was wearing a loose, mid-length, light gray turtleneck sweater that perfectly covered her rear, a style she favored after a shopping trip he'd taken her on. She knew her, but was big and always chose longer tops. A large coat over it all concealed her ample chest. Cole, the master thief, stole a few glances, a fire igniting within him. All the other women he saw out in the world seemed dull in comparison. Nothing beat his own pure, natural beauty. He just hadn't seen her true form yet. When would he? Seeing Cole's sneaky gaze, Luna's face flushed pink. Even though he'd snuck countless glances at her, it still made her feel shy, mixed with a tiny thrill of pride. "Let's go, Lou," Cole said, holding out his hand. A soft, smooth little hand slipped into his. It got dark early in the winter, and by 6 o'clock, the sky was already black. They walked along the campus greenway toward the main gate. As always, Luna attracted stares. The trees blocked the streetlights, obscuring her face but not her figure. As for Cole, people just knew he was a guy. All they could give him were looks of envy and jealousy. Just as they got in a cab and headed for the Ocean View Galleria, Jasmine, Alex, and 3 other girls were walking out of the Eastwood Tech campus gate. "Jasmine, should we shop first and then eat, or the other way around?" Alex asked. "I'm good with whatever. What do you guys want to do?" Jasmine said, looking at the other 3 girls from the dance team. "Let's eat first. I'm starving," one of them said. "All right, eat first, then shop," Alex decided. "Let's go to Ocean View." The Ocean View Galleria had opened in 2007, and even now, it was still a bustling place. It was packed with people, with shoppers forming long lines just to get on the escalators. On the way over, Cole had explained the plan to Luna. As always, she was perfectly okay with it. She was happy to go anywhere with him. They started by walking around the first floor. There were tons of makeup brands, mostly low to mid-range. Tucked away in a corner, they found Viridian Fields. The counter was about 300 square feet and staffed by 2 employees, but there were no customers. This wasn't surprising, given the fierce competition. When they walked in, a saleswoman approached them. "Miss, for your skin type." The woman, who was in her 30s, began, but her words trailed off. For a moment, she couldn't find a single flaw on the girl's face to target. After a few seconds of silence, she continued. "You could try this moisturizing lotion. It's perfect for the dry winter weather." I'm not sure yet. Can I just look around for a bit?" Luna felt nervous under the woman's intense sales pressure, her expression slightly pained. She hated turning people down. "Yeah, we're just going to look for now. We'll let you know if we see something we like," Cole interjected. He had no intention of buying anything here. He was already planning on buying high-end sets for all 3 of his girls. "Well, let me know," the saleswoman said, her enthusiasm dropping by at least half. Customers like this rarely ended up buying anything. Cole scanned the prices. They really weren't expensive. Viridian Fields was one of the most affordable brands here. The fact that it still had no customers meant the problem was either in their marketing or a complete lack thereof. This was a classic conflict between a brand and its distributors. The local franchisee didn't want to spend money on advertising that would benefit other locations, and if the parent brand didn't provide support, it became a vicious cycle. Headline Today, which specifically targeted the local universities, was the perfect solution for these franchisees. Affordable makeup and skincare had universal appeal for college students. The cost was low, and the results were good enough. All it needed was a reason for people to get excited about it. Cole's mind was already racing, piecing together the advertising keywords for Viridian Fields. "Let's go, Lou," Cole said, taking Luna's hand. They left the counter under the indifferent gazes of the 2 employees and wandered around the area, checking the customer traffic and prices at other stores. It didn't take long for him to get a clear picture. Besides its price, Viridian Fields had no other advantages. He now had a solid strategy for convincing the owner. "Lou, let's go get something to eat. What are you in a mood for?" Cole put work aside, his hand tightening around her slim waist. "I'm okay with anything." The mall was crowded and brightly lit, and being held like this still made Luna a little shy. "Let's get steak, then." Cole hadn't had a proper steak dinner in a long time. In his future life, nobody cared about that stuff anymore, but in this era, it was still considered a sophisticated dining experience. He wanted Luna to experience it, to broaden her social horizons. Luna immediately grew anxious, her face flushing red. "Don't worry, I'm here," Cole said, knowing exactly what she was worried about. He gently pulled her closer. "Okay." Luna instantly felt at ease. That was right. Cole was with her. After asking a nearby salesperson for directions, they headed up to the 4th floor. Just as they were riding the escalator to the 2nd floor, Cole's eyes narrowed, and his heart leaped into his throat. Ahead of them, he saw the back of a girl in a group of women. It was too familiar, the top knot, that specific coat, but he couldn't be sure. The chances of running into them at the same mall, miles from campus, had to be astronomically low. It was probably just a coincidence, someone who looked like her. That's what he told himself, anyway. In reality, he could identify Jasmine in a 1/10 of a second. And she him. Without a word, he quickly steered Luna toward the escalator going up to the 3rd floor, keeping his pace casual, so she wouldn't suspect anything. If he suddenly announced they had to leave, she would definitely know something was wrong. Playing the part of both the scoundrel and the gentleman, Cole was the picture of calm. They made it to the men's department on the 4th floor, where a few restaurants were scattered about. He led Luna into a steakhouse. Fortune favors the bold. The most dangerous place is the safest place. There were several of them. They probably wouldn't choose to eat at a steakhouse. They were more likely to spend hours browsing the women's clothing on the 2nd and 3rd floors. He'd eat quickly and get out, offending no one. Perfect. He chose a booth against the wall. Luna initially sat across from him, but seeing her nervous fidgeting, Cole patted the seat next to him. "Why don't you sit over here?" he said with a smile. "Okay." Luna's eyes lit up. She happily slid in next to him, tucked away in a corner with him. Her sense of security soared. "Good evening. Are you ready to order?" a waitress asked, her gaze lingering on Luna's face with a hint of awe. "Yes," Cole said, ordering a set meal for Luna and a glass of juice. Just as he was about to speak, a group of girls walked past the window by the aisle. He recognized Jasmine's voice in their chatter. His scalp prickled. It can't be. What are the odds? He lifted his water glass, pretending to take a sip while his eyes darted outside. It was her. Luckily, she didn't look in. The group walked past, still talking. The heart that had been lodged in Cole's throat finally dropped back into his chest. It was Luna's first time in a steakhouse, and she looked around with wide, curious eyes. She didn't think the food was very good. Even the soup tasted strange. While they waited for their steaks, they talked about her accounting classes. Cole reached out and took her hand. Her long, delicate fingers immediately intertwined with his. Holding her hand like this, with their fingers interlaced, felt deeply satisfying to him. He subtly rested the back of his hand on her thigh, preparing for his next move. With their hands tightly clasped, Luna felt safe and comfortable. The hand on her thigh only brought a faint blush to her cheeks. But Cole, the lecher, immediately revealed his true intentions. He swapped his hands, freeing his right. He flipped it over, palm down. The fabric of her jeans was taut, the muscle beneath firm and elastic. The sensation of his palm was completely different from the back of his hand. A jolt went through Luna's entire body. Her face instantly turned beet red, like a ripe apple, the blush spreading behind her ears and down her neck. She knew what he was doing. She just prayed he wouldn't move it, at least not any higher. He didn't move it higher. Instead, his hand began to gently rub back and forth. The sensation made Luna lean her head against his shoulder, too flustered to look up. Shy but compliant, she watched his hand's small movements. It wasn't until the sizzling steaks arrived that Cole shamelessly withdrew his hand, transforming back into a perfect gentleman. He showed Luna how to cut her steak and then let her do it herself. They were just playing with their food, really. It wasn't a place worth frequenting. Hot pot was much more satisfying. The meal ended, a mix of anxiety and pleasure. Luna's face was glowing with happiness. Cole, though outwardly calm, was eager to pay the bill and get out of there. He had to escape. He led Luna out of the steakhouse. For safety, he walked beside her but didn't put his arm around her. Just as they rounded the corner from the restaurant entrance, they ran head-on into a familiar face. Alex. Their eyes met. "Hey, Cole, what are you doing here?" "Hey, Alex, what are you doing here?" One of them was genuinely surprised. The other was faking it. Cole's heart was pounding, but his face remained a mask of calm. "I'm here with your sister and the girls. What are you doing here?" Alex's gaze darted back and forth between Cole and Luna. She didn't know Luna, and her mind was already racing with suspicion. Is this bastard two-timing her? Oh God, we're all gonna die. In an instant, Alex envisioned the world ending in a fiery explosion. Jasmine was going to kill someone. "I was checking out a makeup brand on the 1st floor for a potential client. We just grabbed a bite to eat," Cole said, his heart hammering like a drum, but his expression was placid. He was confident that Luna, sweet and obedient as she was, wouldn't say anything to contradict him. Alex looked at him, half believing, and turned to Luna. "And you are?" "Oh, this is the accountant for our company," Cole said casually. "Hello," Luna said, offering a polite greeting. A strange light flickered in her eyes before vanishing. Alex nodded and said hello back. Then she turned to Cole. "Wait here. I'm going to get your sister." Between Cole and Jasmine, her loyalty was clear. It didn't matter if he was the boss. "Oh, okay. I was actually just about to talk to her about something," Cole nodded. Alex walked past them, giving Luna a thorough up-and-down look, her eyes lingering for a second on Luna's chest. "Lou, we'll just wait a minute. Director Young is here eating, too," Cole said with a smile. Internally, he was thanking his lucky stars he hadn't been holding her hand or had his arm around her. "Okay," Luna said, a gentle look in her eyes. Hidden in their depths was an understanding she would never speak aloud. She wasn't stupid, but some things were better left unsaid. A moment later, Jasmine emerged from a Korean barbecue restaurant down the hall. Cole led Luna over to her. "So this is where you were," Jasmine exclaimed, her eyes quickly scanning Luna. She knew her brother was out scouting a business, but she hadn't known it was at this mall. "Yeah, I had to check it out myself to come up with a good strategy," Cole said, his expression perfectly normal. Now that the confrontation was happening, he actually felt calmer. "Luna, thank you for your hard work," Jasmine said to Luna with a smile. Her brother had asked her first, but she'd been busy. She couldn't blame him for bringing someone else, especially since it would be weird for a guy to be staring at a makeup counter by himself. However, Alex had just whispered something to her that put her on high alert. She said Luna is huge. Jasmine had sensed it before but hadn't given it much thought. But Alex had a knack for these things. She was probably right. And since her idiot brother had a particular appetite, Jasmine knew this spelled trouble. A sense of crisis began to build. "It was no trouble," Luna said, smiling and shaking her head. "Sis, you go ahead and eat. We're going to head back," Cole said, trying to make a quick escape now that the coast seemed clear. "Okay, you can go," Jasmine nodded. Just as Cole's shoulders relaxed, she added, "Luna, you stay. You can go shopping with me for a bit, if that's okay." Luna instinctively glanced at Cole before answering, "Of course, Director Young." That small reaction did not go unnoticed by Jasmine. She understood. The accountant's first instinct was to seek her brother's approval. That indicated a high level of trust and a certain dependency. Dangerous. She needed to learn more. "All right, you can go back by yourself. Luna will stay with me." "Oh, okay." Cole was helpless. He turned to Luna, acting as if nothing was wrong. "Lou, you have fun with my sister then." "Okay," Luna said, a hint of disappointment in her eyes. She had wanted to go for a walk with him. But Director Yang was his sister. The two women watched Cole's back disappear down the escalator before turning back to the Korean barbecue restaurant. Without Cole there, Luna became anxious again. If it weren't for Jasmine, she wouldn't have stayed for a second longer. Fortunately, Jasmine's friends were easygoing. They chatted and laughed, making sure to include Luna, which helped her feel more comfortable. But she still missed Cole, wondering where he was. During the meal, Jasmine didn't bring up anything suspicious, just constantly made sure Luna had enough to eat and drink. But Luna was already full. She sipped her tea and listened to the girls talk about things she'd never heard of. After dinner, they all went down to the third floor to browse the lingerie stores. Luna didn't need anything, so she just followed behind Jasmine, looking around. In one store, the other girls started picking things out. Jasmine was browsing too, but not for herself. "Luna, this set is nice. You should try it on. We can each get a couple." Luna was startled and quickly waved her hands. "I don't need to try it. I have some already." The lingerie here felt nice, but it was expensive. Besides, she already had 4 sets, which was more than enough. "Just try it. I'll buy you 2 sets. It's good for a girl to have plenty to rotate," Jasmine said. When she saw Luna was still about to refuse, she grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the fitting rooms. "Be good. Come on, try it." "Really, I don't need to, Director Yang," Luna said, at a complete loss. But the lingerie was already being pushed into her hands. "Is it only my brother you listen to? My words don't count." Jasmine stopped, a half-smile on her face as she looked at her. No," Luna said, instinctively wanting to nod, but feeling it would be disrespectful to Jasmine. "Then just try it. We're colleagues and friends. You don't need to be so formal," Jasmine coaxed. "Okay." Luna didn't want to, but she had no idea how to refuse. She took the lingerie and went into the fitting room. She didn't try it on right away. Instead, she copied Cole, looking up and around the small room, checking for any hidden cameras before she began to change. "Let me see when you have it on." Jasmine's voice came from outside. "Okay," Luna replied. They were both girls, so it wasn't a big deal. After a few moments of rustling, she finally had it on. It was a little tight. The style made her blush. It was very thin, with only the essential parts covered, the rest of it sheer. She didn't even want to show Jasmine. "Are you ready, Luna?" "Yes." Luna was incredibly nervous. She opened the door just a crack. Jasmine pushed the door open, immediately closing it behind her before she looked up. The sight stunned her. Holy shit, she thought, Cole's favorite curse word involuntarily popping in her head. She's that big. It looked like she was at least a cup size bigger than Jasmine herself. She'd given her a D cup, but it still looked a little tight. The magnificent pert sight was breathtaking. She'd never noticed at the shop. Then she understood. It had to be the sports bras or binders she always wore. Besides envy, a deep sense of crisis welled up inside Jasmine. Knowing her brother as well as she did, That bastard had definitely taken notice. Even if he hadn't made a move yet, he would, sooner or later. Jasmine forced herself to remain calm, almost gritting her teeth as she spoke. It's a little small. We need to go up a size. Do you like the style? It's okay, Luna said, her face flushing. The style was so daring. Keep the door closed. I'll go get a bigger one, Jasmine said, her tone laced with a hint of sourness. Okay. Luna had no choice but to nod. A moment later, Jasmine returned with a larger size. The clerk had said it was the only one they had left. She closed the door behind her. Try this one on, see if it fits. Luna shyly changed in front of her. Watching her, Jasmine's stomach twisted into a knot. She's beautiful, and she's stacked. For that bastard, the combination is lethal. Can my Cole really resist being tempted by this? Does Cole know? She asked, as if it were a casual thought. Huh. Luna was taken aback. She quickly collected herself and said frantically, and no, it doesn't know. Does seeing through clothes count as knowing? It doesn't, right? Seeing that Luna wasn't being entirely truthful, Jasmine pressed harder. Has he seen you like this? Has he touched you? As the words left her mouth, her gaze sharpened, terrified of the answer. Huh? Luna's eyes went wide, her mind involuntarily picturing the scene. Her face and neck instantly turned a deep shade of crimson. She shook her head and waved her hands frantically. No. It's true, he hasn't, she thought. But he did start touching my leg today. I think. Probably. It's going to happen soon. The thought made her heart pound. Haha, Luna, I was just teasing you. A smile spread across Jasmine's face, and she felt a wave of relief. She could tell Luna's reaction was genuine. That bastard hadn't made his move. The knowledge was strangely comforting. After all, you couldn't blame someone for being well endowed. She was born that way. Nothing to be done about it. Since the new one fit, they bought it. Jasmine also tried on 2 sets for herself, both black, in incredibly sexy styles. Previously, she'd always preferred white or beige, more traditional types. She wasn't sure why, but this time she chose black lace and partially see-through designs. Before, she had been completely confident in her own appeal to that bastard. Now, she wasn't so sure. With her purchases made, Jasmine went to check on Alex. As for Alex, she had a very reassuring dancer's figure. Another 40 minutes passed before the group of girls was finally done shopping. Even Alex had no idea what had transpired in the fitting room. Jasmine kept it to herself. The 6 of them left the lingerie store and started heading back to campus. As they neared the escalator, Luna spotted a familiar face. It was the girl who had come into the tea shop twice, asking for Cole's number and leaving in a huff when she didn't get it. But the man she was with now was different from the one she'd been with before. Julia, riding the escalator up, at first only thought Luna looked familiar. A few seconds later, it clicked. Isn't that the girl from the Tea Alchemist? The 2 groups passed each other. Julia, do you know them? Asked the man with her. He was in his late 20s, dressed in a suit and a black overcoat. In the future, he'd either be selling insurance or real estate, but for now, it gave him the air of a successful professional. His eyes had immediately noticed that the girls were all attractive, especially 2 of them. Not really. I've just seen her around, Julia said, glancing at the man with a cold, internal smile. Daring to check out other women right in front of me. What use are you? She met the man, Greg Zhao, by chance recently. He was a regional manager for some company and drove a fairly new Volvo. He seemed to have some status, but he was still in her testing phase. She only kept men who could be useful to her, not men who thought they could use her. Well, say hi. Since you know them, maybe we can all hang out sometime, the man said, automatically upgrading seeing her around to know them. A greedy light flashed in his eyes. His normally decent-looking face was twisted by his eagerness, making him look sleazy. His words annoyed Julia. Looking at Greg's pathetic expression, she immediately kicked him out of her pond. A smart woman like her knew that a man with so little self-control was naturally opportunistic. She was even starting to doubt that his supposed success was anything but a facade. Before Julia could even speak, Greg, unable to contain himself, waved at the girls who were about to descend to the next level. Hey, over here, your classmate. The girls didn't even look up. They knew who their classmates were. Hey, where are they going? Greg called out again, his face full of disappointment when they ignored him. He turned and started to blame Julia. Come on, they're your classmates. You could have just said hi. You don't want people thinking you're unfriendly. Fine. Go eat by yourself, Julia said, again smiling coldly to herself. He was probably faking his wealth. No one with any real status would be so classless and desperate. The fool had been like this when they first met. She'd thought it was because he found her beautiful. Turns out a dog can't change its. Ugh, what a waste of her time. Hey, what's wrong with you? Greg panicked and reached out to grab her. Don't touch me. Julia quickly took 2 steps forward. We're not a good match. Thanks, but no thanks. Goodbye. She immediately got on the downward escalator. Greg was frantic. He'd gone to so much trouble to ask her out to dinner. He couldn't just let her leave. He rushed after her. Hey, Julia, wait. I'll take you for a drive in my car another time. No, thank you. You can go for a drive by yourself. Julia walked faster, regretting this entire encounter. Even Simon was better than this guy. With that thought, she picked up her pace, practically running down the moving escalator. A master of her craft doesn't waste time. From behind her, she could still hear Greg's desperate calls. Hey, Julia, wait. Hearing him only made her move faster. After a few steps, an idea came to her. This piece of trash. Why not toss him at someone else, just to be annoying? She stopped, turned, and faced him. We're not a good match, she said. But I can tell you where one of those girls, the prettiest one, works. Where? Greg asked instinctively, jogging up to her, oblivious to the strange looks from people around them. At the Tea Alchemist on Hillside Avenue, right by Eastwood University. You can usually find her there in the afternoons or evenings, Julia said, a small smile playing on her lips. She just tossed this guy at Cole. It would be a perfect little bit of petty revenge for him not giving her his number. Are you sure? Greg's eyes lit up, his attention completely diverted from Julia. Positive, Julia nodded. All right, that's that. She turned and walked away, her pace quickening. She left Greg standing there, muttering the words the Tea Alchemist to himself, a creepy, lecherous glint in his eyes. That night, around 9, Cole got a message from Luna saying she was back in her dorm. They chatted for a bit, and after confirming that Jasmine hadn't brought him up, Cole finally relaxed. Lou, do you have class tomorrow? I need you to come with me to check out some other places. He planned to scope out more Viridian Fields locations during the day. I have classes all day tomorrow, brother, until after 8 at night. I'm sorry, hug emoji. Okay. Focus on your classes, Lou. Cole then messaged Serena, but she also had a full day of classes. He didn't dare ask Jasmine, afraid of what she might ask him. But a message from her came through just then anyway. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Meet me at the apartment. I have some questions for you, sad face emoji. Okay, I'll be there, sis. A knot of anxiety tightened in Cole's stomach. Luna said she didn't mention me, so why is Jasmine acting so strange? He couldn't very well ask Luna about it without making her overthink things. He'd just have to see what happened tomorrow. He would roll with the punches. If she didn't know something, he'd just cling to her and refuse to let go. Cole, shameless as ever, drifted off to sleep. After washing up, he didn't even engage with his roommate's chatter. His head hit the pillow, and he was out in less than 30 seconds. The next morning, he arrived at the office, full of energy. He checked the coupon redemption stats for the Caspian Grill and Buffet. The numbers were fantastic. He had delivered on his promise to Vanessa. The campaign would run for a good while longer. Eventually, the $5 discount would drop to $3 and then disappear entirely. The truth was, most of the girls didn't eat that much anyway. They were there for the atmosphere. And many students couldn't resist the beautifully crafted desserts, which filled them up before they even got to the main course. Any smart buffet owner knew to make the pastries look exquisite. Yvonne, let's go. We're going to check out the other Viridian Fields locations, Cole said to Yvonne, who had just finished her morning meeting with the promotions team. Okay, Cole. Yvonne's eyes lit up. A trip with the boss meant a free meal and a chance to learn something. She quickly ran to the restroom to touch up her makeup and check her outfit. Ever since she'd learned a few of his secrets, she found herself more and more attracted to him. He was 100 times more appealing than the jocks and pretty boys from the athletics and arts departments. He seemed to possess some kind of magic. Twice now, she'd dreamed he'd broken her heart, and she'd woken up flustered, clutching her pillow and lost in thought. They set off to visit the other Viridian Fields stores. The first was at the Lakeside Shopping Center, next to the gallery. It was an old mall that hadn't changed much in 20 years. The Viridian Field counter was on the second floor, a tiny space of less than 200 square feet. Today's mission was to chat with the staff. The staff consisted of 2 women in their late 30s. Cole, thinking on his feet, walked up to the counter. Hi there, he said. I need to buy 2 tubes of hand cream for dry, cracked skin. Oh, this one is good. It's long-lasting and moisturizing. One of the saleswomen began. Cole listened intently and bought 2 tubes. Then he changed his tune. I just remembered I have another tube at home. I bought one too many. This one's for you. You can use it here at the store. The woman was a bit embarrassed and waved her hand dismissively. No, why would you give it to me? Really, I won't use it all, and it'll just expire. It'd be a waste, Cole insisted, placing one of the tubes on the counter. The woman pushed it back, and Cole pushed it forward again. Look, it's not for free. My family is thinking of opening a shop here, and I wanted to ask about the foot traffic. The woman, realizing there were strings attached, actually relaxed. It was better than getting something for nothing. Since Cole's hand was blocking her, she let herself be overpowered. The foot traffic is decent, but the rent here is really hard to get. What about a place like Viridian Fields? Is the customer base stable? Cole asked, playing the part of a naive, clueless kid. There were no other customers around, and the other shops were still cleaning, so they could speak quietly without being overheard. The other saleswoman chimed in. There are customers, but not many. The competition is just too fierce now. The first woman agreed. It's a tough business these days. About how much do you make in a day? I want to tell my family so they can decide if it's worth it. We're not big bosses like the people who own Viridian Fields. Well, the first woman hesitated, looking uncertain. It was the second woman who answered. On a good day, we might make 1,000. On a bad day, a few hundred, or sometimes just a few dozen. There are days we don't make a single sale. On a good day, we sell dozens of these hand creams, the first woman added, remembering the sales numbers. It wasn't exactly a secret, as long as they were willing to share. It really is a tough business, Cole lamented. He placed the second tube of hand cream on the counter. These are for both of you. One each. I just remembered the one I have at home. Oh, you shouldn't have, the two women said, smiling as they accepted the gifts. They all understood the unspoken transaction. Cole chatted with them a bit longer, getting the answers he needed. You should take your girlfriend and go. The regional manager is here, and he's a real creep, the first woman suddenly whispered, frowning. Cole didn't even have to turn around to know what she meant. A predator had arrived. Thanks, he nodded. He turned and saw a young man in a suit, his hair slicked up with what looked like a Hulkin of gel. He wasn't ugly, but he exuded a sleazy aura. His eyes were fixed on Yvonne, a leering, predatory look on his face. Yvonne recoiled, covering her face with her hand and turning to leave. But the man's gaze followed her, scanning her up and down. Keep looking and see if I don't punch you in the face, Cole said, stopping in his tracks and glaring at the man. Who the hell does he think he is? Acting like I'm not even here. What's it to you? I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at the air, wasn't I? Greg Zhao said, his gaze shifting from Yvonne to Cole. He sized him up, and his tone softened. From the moment I walk out of here, if I catch you staring at her like that again, I will punch you, Cole said, his eyes boring into the man. With a regional manager like this, Viridian Fields is doomed. You wouldn't dare? I'll call the cops. Greg blustered, his bravado failing him. You're sexually harassing her. There are witnesses. I'd be well within my rights, Cole retorted. He wasn't falling for that. At worst, it would be a small fine. Greg glanced around, and saw only cold, disgusted looks from the other saleswomen. Everyone on this floor knew what kind of person the Viridian Fields manager was. His bravado vanished. I'm not going to lower myself to your level, college boy, he muttered. Remember what I said? Cole said with one last, sharp glare, then turned and left. As he walked out, he glanced back. The man wasn't looking anymore. On the way to the next Viridian Fields location, Yvonne looked like she was about to be sick. I've never seen a look like that. It was so disgusting. Yeah, he's one of a kind, Cole said. What else could he say? He was a lecher himself, but he only dared to steal glances. Cole, you're a real man. Yvonne clasped her hands together, her eyes shining with adoration. If you can't close this client, it's your head on the chopping block, Cole said with a cold smile, refusing to take the bait. Then go ahead and take it. Yvonne lifted her chin, giving him a look that said, I dare you. Harassing your boss. There goes your bonus, Cole said, deploying his ultimate weapon. You can't do that. Yvonne's face fell. They spent the rest of the day visiting the other locations and didn't run into the sleazy manager again. They finished dinner before 6. After watching Yvonne get into a cab, Cole hailed one himself and went straight to the Golden Bay residences. He spent some time carefully tidying the apartment, changing the sheets to the same set he and Jasmine had used last time. He waited until 7:30 when there was a knock on the door. He opened it. It was Jasmine. She stood there, her eyes calm as she stared at him. What's wrong, Jasmine? Come on in. Cole's heart hammered against his ribs. Don't tell me she actually found out. Whatever happens, I have to hold it together. Jasmine didn't say a word. She stepped inside, a large paper bag in one hand and a shoebox tucked under her arm. She walked over to the sofa, dropped her things, and sat down, crossing her legs. She stared straight ahead, her beautiful face a blank mask, the unnerving calm before a hurricane. Cole felt a flicker of fear. Like a guilty schoolboy, he sat down next to her. Jazz, what's wrong? Hold it together. Play it cool. Play it innocent, play. Just don't play it like you don't care. He reached for her hand, but she snatched it away. His stomach tightened. Did she really find out? He tried again. She pulled away again, turning her head to stare out at the balcony. Cole took a deep, silent breath, forcing himself to stay calm. If she started screaming, or crying, or threatening to do something crazy, his only move was to grab her and not let go. Just ride it out. As he was strategizing, his eyes fell on the paper bag. It was full of clothes, but not new ones. Wait a minute. Bringing clothes here. Does that mean she's planning on staying the night? No. He almost fell for it. This was a trap. Cole's mind raced, a plan forming. He feigned a heavy silence, then turned to Jasmine with a look of profound sorrow. Jasmine, is there something you need to tell me? Something I'm not going to want to hear. Her eyelids twitched, but she remained silent. I get it, he said, his voice thick with fake emotion. You're the queen of Eastwood Tech. You got guys lined up around the block, rich guys, powerful guys. I'm just a regular dude from a normal family. I'm not even that good looking. He tilted his head back as if fighting back tears. But before he could finish his performance, a fist slammed into his shoulder with a dull thud. It was a solid punch, and it stung. But as the pain registered, Cole felt a surge of relief. The dam is breaking. Just as he predicted, Jasmine's face twisted with rage, and she started pummeling his chest. You heartless jerk. What are you trying to pull? You dare try that act on me? I'll kill you. You always use that pathetic act to walk all over me. I'll beat the normal family out of you. I'll bite you. With that final shout, she yanked aside the lapel of his jacket and sank her teeth into his shoulder muscle, right through his shirt. Her teeth ground back and forth like a power sander. Pain shot through him, and he gritted his teeth, his face contorting, but he didn't dare push her away. Instead, he wrapped his arm around the back of her neck, holding her close. Just when the spot was going numb, Jasmine finally let go. Her face was flushed from the effort, her jaw tight. She peeled back the fabric of his shirt to inspect her handiwork. Even through the material, a deep, purplish-red bite mark was already forming. Humph, she snorted, a sound that was equal parts defiant and satisfied. This was her brand, her mark. The last wisp of her anger evaporated. Then, like a mother baboon grooming her young, she leaned down and kissed the mark several times. The sudden, searing sensation made Cole flinch, but a sense of peace washed over him. He was safe. Did the meeting with that makeup company go okay? Jasmine asked, settling into a more comfortable position against him, admiring her handiwork. The icy mass from moments before was gone, as if it had never existed. Based on my research, they're a perfect fit for a Headline Today campaign, Cole said, instinctively wrapping an arm around her waist to let her lean against him more easily. Is it going to be a tough negotiation? She murmured, tracing the edge of the bite mark with her fingernail. The feeling was a strange, exquisite mix of pain and pleasure that made Cole suck in a quiet breath. I think it'll be manageable. But there's one thing I need to clear with you first. What is it? She asked, feigning indifference. I might have to call someone else by a familiar name, Cole said, choosing his words carefully, terrified of setting her off again. Jasmine sat up straight. Are you planning on selling your body? What? No. She's a woman in her 40s. Apparently not a looker either. It's just to build some rapport, make the conversation easier. It was a small thing, really, but Cole knew that for Jasmine, it was a very big thing. When they were kids, he wasn't allowed to call any other girl by a nickname. If he did, she wouldn't speak to him for days. The only exception was with relatives, and even then, he had to ask her permission first. She'd usually grant it, but the rule was absolute. By middle school, Cole was convinced they were both crazy, but it was a madness he'd embraced willingly. High school had brought its own pressures, though, and his temper had frayed. And when he got to college, he'd let himself get distracted, blinded by other things. Cole sighed internally. If it weren't for his second chance, he would have carried that lifetime of regret to his grave, leaving a spiritual void that could never be filled. Lost in thought, he leaned in and kissed Jasmine's soft cheek. Jasmine, she hummed. A warmth spread through his chest, and he moved to find her lips. Nope, she said, turning her head away. The image of Luna's impossible curves and the scent of Serena's perfume flashed through her mind. If she kissed him now, she'd forget all about them. Is the company stressing you out? Jasmine relented, letting go of his hands and instead rubbing her cheek against his, like a mother cat nuzzling her kitten. It's fine. No pressure right now, Cole said, closing his eyes and savoring her affection. The truth was, the pressure was immense. A startup was never easy, not even when you had cash to burn. The more people you managed, the greater the psychological toll. That's why he'd rather pay high salaries than waste energy dealing with an unstable team. Money was the most important factor in loyalty. Period. Other people could shout slogans. He would hand out cash. He'd be damned if he couldn't prevent his talent from getting poached later on. And even if one or two people left, if the pay was good, he could always find replacements. For now, Headline Today was still expanding on campus, preparing for the first major campaign to attract advertisers. But the moment it stepped out of the university gates, it would be a life-or-death battle. Capital, both big and small, would come swarming. If he survived, the path ahead was clear. If he didn't, he'd be crushed underfoot. Cole might look relaxed on the surface, but he was in a constant state of high alert. He had no doubt about Yvonne's abilities, but he couldn't stop himself from getting personally involved, laying the groundwork for her eventual assault on the market. Jasmine knew him better than anyone. She immediately sensed the weight in his heart. She tilted her head up, her eyes tracing the lines of his deceptively calm face. She saw it then, the subtle furrow of his brow, there and then gone in an instant. The pressure had to be immense. He wasn't even 19 yet. How was he shouldering all of this? If it were her, she'd be a nervous wreck, cautious and on edge every single day. Her title as COO was just a shield. She was hiding behind him. So was everyone else. A pang of pain shot through Jasmine's heart. She hadn't been paying enough attention, hadn't been caring for him enough. She gently stroked his cheek, then stood up and went into the bedroom, turning on the space heater. Returning to the living room, she began to softly massage his temples. In a little bit, she whispered, "I'll dance for you." A dance? What kind of dance? If there aren't any black stockings involved, I'm not watching, Cole thought, barely suppressing a grin. He had outplayed her. Jasmine had fallen right into his trap. He was stressed, sure, but he could handle it. He didn't need to show it. This was all just a ploy to reel her in. But he had underestimated the power of their bond. Jasmine knew him too well. She instantly sensed the shift in him, in her gut, in the rhythm of his heart, in the micro-expressions on his face. He was acting again. This time, she didn't call him out. Go on, put on your show, she thought. We'll see who's torturing whom in a little while. With their own secret plans brewing, the two of them held each other for another 10 minutes. The bedroom was getting warm now. The air was a bit dry, but at least it was comfortable enough for lighter clothing. Don't come in until I call you, Jasmine said, standing up. She grabbed the paper bag and the shoebox and disappeared into the bedroom. Cole's eyes snapped open, a wide grin spreading across his face. Hiv, tonight. Could it be? He needed to up his game, add a little more drama to his performance. Then it would be inevitable. He could hear her rustling around in the bedroom for a long time before her voice, trembling slightly, finally called out. Turn off the living room light and come in. Cole shot to his feet, his heart thrumming with an impatient itch. Jasmine might not be as buxom as Luna, but her overall score was off the charts. Backbends, high kicks, splits in every direction. She was impossibly flexible. He flipped off the living room light and gently pushed open the bedroom door. The blackout curtains were drawn, plunging the room into darkness. He could only make out the faint silhouette of a figure sitting on the bed. Even with all the experience of his past life, Cole's heart pounded violently. He fumbled for the light switch. He flicked it on. As the room lit up, Cole's gaze froze. Jasmine had changed into a cream-colored, deep V-neck sweater that clung to her every curve. It was just long enough to cover the very tops of her thighs. A pair of sheer black stockings encased her long, perfectly rounded legs, amplifying their allure 1,000 times over. She was sitting sideways on the bed, one leg slightly bent, her posture ramrod straight. Her beautiful face was turned toward the window, her long black hair swept up, revealing the delicate line of her jaw and the curve of her neck. A few stray strands of hair graced the white skin behind her ear, making her look utterly delicious. She was the complete package, a sexy, sophisticated goddess, radiating an aura of mystery and elegance. She was like a sorceress who, without casting a single spell, had sent an electric shock through Cole's entire body. He could hear his own heart thumping in his ears. His feet moved on their own, carrying him slowly toward her. The little devil on his shoulder was cackling, screaming, "Devour her!" Take a huge bite. The little angel on his other shoulder sniffed with disdain. Crude. Only by savoring her in small sips can you truly appreciate her flavor. Cole's mind was a hot, foggy, stupid mess, fixated on a single thought. Just then, Jasmine turned her head, her voice a sharp command. Don't move. Go stand against the wall. Her expression was cool and proud, but the flicker in her eyes and the deep blush spreading across her cheeks betrayed the intense shyness she was fighting to control. For someone as traditionally minded as her, dressing like this and striking this pose was a complete subversion of her nature. And, That wasn't even counting what she planned to do next. The command was like a bucket of cold water on Cole's overheated brain. He stood there, stunned. Huh? Stand against the wall? I'm going to count to 3, Jasmine said, her voice firm. If you're not standing against that wall, I'm not showing you. Okay, Cole mumbled, a pained expression on his face as he reluctantly retreated to the wall. He had no choice. The consequences of disobeying were severe. She'd get genuinely angry. Stand up straight. Okay. I have a question for you, Jasmine said, a hint of satisfaction in her expression. Ask away, Jasmine. Cole knew this was the critical moment. Quizzes were a common occurrence with her. Do I look good? Jasmine had to summon all her willpower to keep from blushing, a seductive smile playing on her lips. Yes, so good. Cole could feel his own breathing grow heavy. Who's the most beautiful girl in the world? Jasmine lifted her chin slightly, her gaze locking onto his. There is no girl in this world more beautiful than you, Jasmine. The answer came instantly, without thought. He didn't dare to think. He'd cleverly blurred the definition of who. Sorry, Serena. Sorry, Luna. I'll give the title back to you guys next time. Jasmine snorted, and it was impossible to tell if she was satisfied or not. She asked another question. Who's bigger? Cole's brain went into overdrive. This was a trick question, a death trap. If he said you, she'd fire back with, how would you know? Have you seen? So he changed the subject, trying to bluff his way through. Jasmine, even though you're 3 years older than me, when we stand together, everyone at the company says it looks like I'm the one who's 3 years older. Is that so? Jasmine's cheeks grew even redder. The answer hadn't achieved her original goal, but it had filled a different kind of satisfaction. Of course, if you don't believe me, ask them at the office tomorrow, Cole said with absolute certainty. I know what you're up to. Fine, I'll let you off the hook. Jasmine rolled her eyes at him, then pointed toward the window. Go stand over there, with your back to the window. Okay. Cole hurried around the foot of the bed, stealing a glance as he went, but his view was blocked by her crossed legs. Jasmine picked up the shoebox from the side of the bed. From his angle, Cole couldn't see what kind of shoes they were, but he found out soon enough. The sharp, crisp click of high heels, stiletto heels. Jasmine stood up, and sure enough, she was wearing a pair of black stiletto heels. The complete seduction outfit. It was a common sight on TikTok in his past life, but this was Jasmine. Phew. Cole let out a fiery breath. Don't you move. Stand still. If you move, I'll get angry. Jasmine warned. She took out her phone and queued up a save track. She looked calm, but inside, her heart was hammering against her ribs. This was going to be a performance unlike any she'd ever given. A private performance, for an audience of one. Those moves she was too shy to even think about. They were fine during practice, but now, in front of him, her heart rate was approaching 120. Jasmine stood with her back to the wall, her cheeks the color of blood. She didn't dare look at his ravenous gaze. A part of her desperately wanted to back out, but she couldn't go back on her word. As the intro to the music began, she moved almost on instinct. Her hips swayed to the rhythm. Her hands traced the lines of her face in a sensual gesture. Cole held his breath, his mind completely filled with the image of Jasmine before him, watching her seductive dance. He had never imagined she would dance like this for him. He thought it would be something more like her usual modern dance routines. For 3 full minutes, the sensual, fiery dance continued. Cole must have swallowed 300 times, his eyes never once blinking. The moment the music ended, it was as if Jasmine's courage ran out. She crouched down, hugging her knees and burying her face between them and her arms. Even the back of her neck was flushed bright red. Cole's blood was boiling, but he knew what he needed to do. He had to go comfort her. He started to walk around the foot of the bed, but he'd only taken a few steps when a sharp knock came from the front door. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. The knocking sounded urgent. Who could that be? He didn't know anyone else in this building. Cole was puzzled and a little wary. It couldn't be Serena, could it? No one else knew he lived here. Or maybe. Alex, go see who it is, came Jasmine's muffled voice from where she was still hiding her face. Look through the peephole first. Don't open it right away, just in case. Okay. Cole shot one last, lingering look at the vision in black stockings before leaving the bedroom. He crept to the front door and pressed his eye to the peephole. Standing outside was a woman he didn't recognize, maybe in her early 30s, wearing winter pajamas. She didn't look like a threat, more like a neighbor from upstairs or downstairs. Cole opened the door and offered a smile. Hi there, can I help you with something? The woman had a gentle face and wore glasses, giving her a bookish look. Her expression was a mixture of complaint and embarrassment. Hi, sorry to bother you. I'm your downstairs neighbor. I was just wondering, when you're home at night, could you maybe not wear high heels? She gestured apologetically. My daughter has exams coming up, and even though the floors are pretty soundproof, the sound of heels still comes through pretty clearly. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Cole said, a flush of embarrassment creeping up his neck. They had both completely forgotten. We just got back and haven't changed yet. I apologize. It won't happen again. In his past life, he'd had the same problem with a single woman who lived upstairs and never took off her heels. Thank you so much. Okay, I won't bother you anymore. Seeing his polite attitude, the woman smiled, nodded, and headed for the stairwell. Back in the bedroom, Jasmine was mortified, but also filled with a pang of regret. Was that dance too much? Will he think I'm slutty? What if he really thinks that? What do I do? Deep down, she knew Cole wouldn't think that, but her pride made her worry. When she heard the conversation from the front door, her worries were momentarily forgotten. She immediately kicked off the high heels and dove under the covers. When Cole came back in, all he saw was a lump under the duvet and a cascade of black hair. A fire ignited in his chest. Here I come, Jasmine. Like a monkey, he stripped off his clothes and shot into the bathroom for a quick shower. After washing up, he rushed back and slid into bed. Turn off the heater. It's a waste of electricity, Jasmine's muffled voice commanded. Okay, sure. Cole didn't actually want to turn it off. What was the point? They'd just be turning up the heat in other ways soon enough. But Jasmine's word was law. It was still early, but as the saying goes, early to bed, early to rise. He slid back under the covers, the fragrant scent of jasmine filling his senses. His heart hammered like a drum. He extended his right arm, and Jasmine, in a gesture of perfect understanding, lifted her head to rest on it. Cole pulled her close, feeling a slight tremor run through her body. He gently turned her to face him. Cole, she whispered, her long eyelashes fluttering as she watched his expression nervously. Do you think I was too? You know. How could I? Cole pressed a soft kiss to the tip of her nose. A dance that was just for me? I wish it had been even more. You know, you're so greedy, she chided, playfully punching his chest. Her mood instantly lifted, replaced by a deep sense of satisfaction and pride. She had definitely mesmerized the little bastard. Jasmine. MMM. Hearing her low, humming response, Cole couldn't hold back any longer. He found her fragrant lips and kissed her. MMPH. He was met with a passionate response. A long while later, Jasmine gasped for air, grabbing his wandering hand. MMM. Listen to me. Wait until you're 20. MMM. Cole, still kissing her, corrected her between breaths. That's not a thing. I looked it up on WebMD. No. Are you the pre-med student? Or is my friend? Jasmine broke free, holding his hand in a death grip. Jasmine, your friend is a sadist. Cole shook his head, which felt hot and swollen with frustration. He wanted to string that friend up by her toes. Don't say that. She means well. Jasmine kissed him again. Seeing his face flushed with torment, her heart softened. Blushing, she whispered just, not that. I'll ask her about it some other time. Just, not that. Cole's eyes lit up. He feigned a sigh of resignation. Fine. But the kissing was definitely not off limits. Cole, Jasmine murmured, chanting his name over and over. The man she had cared for her entire life had finally grown up. Cole didn't want to push her. He had to respect her stubbornness. The traditional Jasmine just wasn't ready yet. But he wasn't discouraged. It was only a matter of time. He loved sleeping with his arms around her when they were kids, and he loved it even more now. As the night deepened, they lay talking about old memories, a conversation that felt like it could go on forever. Cuddled in his arms, Jasmine's earlier embarrassment from her seductive performance melted away, soothed by his affection. She had been terrified he would judge her, but he clearly loved it and was incredibly considerate of her feelings. All the care she had poured into this boy hadn't been a waste. When morning light streamed into the room, Jasmine was still fast asleep in the crook of Cole's arm, breathing softly. She looked so peaceful. The black stockings had completed their mission, having been sacrificed for the cause of their relationship. Women were different from men. They didn't need the final act to feel happy. Men, on the other hand, were left to burn on high with no release, a cycle of escalating excitement. It was no surprise, then, that Cole was sporting two massive dark circles under his eyes. That kind of unresolved tension was not for the faint of heart. But it was fine. He could think of it as strength training. Last night, Jasmine had taken a moment to shyly explain the reasoning. Her friend from medical school had said that waiting until 20 was beneficial for a long and happy life together. Cole was speechless. Until old age. So, you're saying I can't retire even when I'm 60? But on second thought, maybe he did need to prepare in advance. After all, he had a heavy workload ahead of him. He couldn't afford to be weak. The woman in his arms stirred. Her eyelashes fluttered, her eyes opened and closed, and she snuggled her head deeper into his chest, finding a more comfortable position before falling back asleep. But Cole couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, eyes wide, planning his pitch to the owner of Viridian Fields, mentally cataloging every possible objection. He lay there until Jasmine's alarm went off. She finally woke up, feeling more refreshed than she had in days. She slapped at the phone buzzing on his chest and commanded, "You go wash up first." She had to make him go first. She was too embarrassed to pull back the covers and face the carnage of the sacrifice stockings. Thinking about last night, her heart filled with a mix of shyness and satisfaction, along with a shiver of trepidation. That little monster was a maniac with boundless energy. If this was what it was like before, what kind of beast would he be after? The thought alone was a little scary. She'd heard the first time was supposed to hurt. Once they were both showered and dressed, just as they were about to leave, Jasmine bit him hard on the shoulder and followed it up with a few solid punches, taking revenge for the previous night. But somehow, the hitting turned into kissing, and it was quite a while before they managed to actually get out the door. As for the sacrifice stockings, they lay alone at the bottom of the trash can downstairs. The two of them grabbed a bowl of noodles at a roadside breakfast stall. Afterward, Jasmine took a cab back to Eastwood Tech, while Cole headed for the gallery to meet up with Yvonne. Coincidentally, the Viridian Fields distributor's office was also in the gallery's office tower. Suite 1102. The plaque on the door read Aura Cosmetics Distribution. Inside one of the offices, 46-year-old Catherine Chow was holding a meeting. She scanned the two regional managers, her gaze finally landing on the sharply dressed Greg Zhao. "Greg, if your region is still in the red this month, I'm giving the Lakeside Shopping Center store to Diana. It's closer to her territory anyway." Ms. Chow, please rest assured. I'll push the staff to get sales up. We'll absolutely turn things around this month, Greg Zhao said, puffing out his chest with a confident promise. He shot a venomous glance at Diana, the manager sitting next to him. Damn woman gets all the good locations. I could do just as well if I had her stores. So unfair. After the meeting, Greg lingered, pretending to organize his notes. Once Diana and the others had left, he leaned in with a conspiratorial expression. "Aunt Catherine," he whispered, "I heard from one of the staff over there that Diana's reputation is getting pretty big. If they don't come to the office for meetings, they basically only know Manager Diana. They don't know who you are." "Oh, and what are you trying to say?" Catherine asked, not looking up from her report. "I just think Diana should do a better job of reminding the staff who the real boss is," Greg said, his face a mask of loyal concern. "Maybe I'm overthinking it, but this kind of thing happens all the time when someone gets too powerful and you're so busy. I'm just a little worried." "I see. You can go now," Catherine said, her face impassive. Greg left, feeling a bit unsatisfied. A few moments later, the receptionist knocked on the door. "Ms. Chow, that university student from Headline Today, is here again. Tell her I'm busy," Catherine said without looking up. "Okay." The receptionist turned to leave. "Wait," Catherine called out. "Actually, let them in. Right away." Cole and Yvonne were waiting by the front desk. When they got the okay, they walked toward the boss's office. Yvonne, having been here before, took the lead and knocked on the open door. "Hello, Ms. Chow. Sorry to bother you again." Well, you're already here. Come in," Catherine said with a slight smile that revealed slightly yellowed teeth. As they entered the office, Catherine sized up Cole, assuming he was just a trainee tagging along. She gestured for them to sit. "Ms. Chow, I'd like to introduce you." Yvonne began before they had even sat down. "This is the founder of Headline Today." "The founder?" Catherine looked at Cole, stunned. "He's so young." Realizing she was staring, she forced a smile. "The man himself is here. Please sit." She made no move to stand, the deeply ingrained pride of a seasoned business owner holding her in her seat. It wasn't just her. Most bosses from her era were like this. "Catherine, please don't call me the founder. I'm just a college kid trying to get some experience, maybe make enough for lunch," Cole said, flashing a shy smile. He shamelessly jumped on the opportunity, settling into one of the chairs typically reserved for employees. What did you call me?" Catherine couldn't believe her ears. "Catherine," Cole replied, a look of pure, innocent confusion on his face, as if to say, "What's so strange about that?" Yvonne, standing beside him, felt her eye twitch. The boss has absolutely no shame. Haha, I don't think I can accept that compliment. I'm probably old enough to be your mother," Catherine laughed. As a veteran of the business world, she knew exactly what this young man was doing, but she couldn't help but be pleased. Flattery was a magical thing, You could know it was flattery and still love hearing it. Besides, when a boy of 18 or 19 calls you by your first name like that, how could you not feel good? Catherine was practically blooming. To stop the flood of compliments, she changed the subject. So, what brings you here today? Catherine, I know you're busy, so I won't waste your time. I'll get straight to the point, Cole said, hammering home his use of her first name. Go on. Catherine's mood had inexplicably improved. Catherine, I spent the last couple of days visiting your Viridian Field stores, and I noticed a few problems, Cole said, his expression guileless, as if he were simply stating the facts. It didn't matter if she saw through his act. The important thing was not to appear too clever in front of an old pro. She wouldn't take him seriously. She'd just be annoyed. Oh, tell me, what problems? Catherine was intrigued. She was trying to guess what he would say, though in truth, she already knew what the problems were. She just didn't have a good solution. Catherine, from what I can tell, you've priced your Viridian Fields products to be very accessible. Your retail prices are slightly lower than distributors in other cities, and the products themselves are just as effective as comparable brands. So with a more affordable price, why isn't it capturing a larger market share? Cole laid out the situation as he saw it. I know what you're getting at, Catherine interjected. You're going to say, I need to advertise to increase brand awareness. But Cole immediately snatched the conversational thread back. Catherine, I know you're worried that if you advertise, you'll just be doing free work for other distributors and for Viridian Fields headquarters. And I know you're going to talk about headline today's targeted reach. Yvonne already told me about that, Catherine said, looking at Cole. But I don't think it will have much of an effect. Viridian Fields is a mature brand. It's like a short person who's already stopped growing. Besides running a few sales promotions, there's not much you can do. I don't want to waste money on something that won't work. I hope you can understand, young man. Catherine, everything you've said is reasonable, and it's true, Cole said calmly. But what I want to say is this. Products don't have a height. They have a status. And status is just a story we tell. The question is, who's telling the better story? Catherine, give me 1 minute to show you the story I've designed for your product. I'm confident you'll like what you see. With that, he took a file folder from Yvonne, the proposal he had written up. He stood and handed it to Catherine with both hands. Catherine's eyes showed a flicker of interest at his turn of phrase. The young man in front of her cut straight to the heart of the matter. Advertising really was just about storytelling, but the power of a story was determined by the budget behind it. With a sense of anticipation she couldn't quite explain, she opened the folder. It contained only 3 pages. Viridian Fields' university-focused marketing and advertising proposal. She began to read, her expression shifting from neutral to surprised, then to a look of genuine delight. The skincare every college student is using. That was the core concept, followed by a detailed marketing plan to support it. She read it once, then read it all over again. This kid has got something. She put down the proposal and looked at Cole, a new respect in her eyes. Are you really so sure this will be as successful as you claim? I was being conservative. I could have said it's 100% guaranteed, Cole replied. Now that they were talking business, his demeanor was calm and direct, the guileless act gone. As I said in the proposal, a lot of the most successful ad campaigns are incredibly simple. They just use massive amounts of capital to brute force a message into people's heads until it's unforgettable. The advantage of Headline today is that we can narrow that scope, be more targeted, and save on costs. And college students, Cole said with a slight smile, are the most easily influenced demographic there is. His bluntness made Catherine smile. She joked, including you? Yes, Catherine. Even I can be influenced. It's unavoidable, Cole admitted with a nod. It was true. A simple, catchy phrase, repeated over and over, would worm its way into your subconscious. You'd find yourself humming it without realizing. Then, the moment you saw the product, or something that reminded you of it, the mantra would pop into your head. When it came time to choose a product, you would unconsciously gravitate toward the one that was most familiar. It was the principle behind some of the most famous American campaigns. Got milk? Where's the beef? Those simple phrases had generated unimaginable wealth for their stakeholders. Cole's honesty was disarming, and Catherine found herself liking him. This boy, who was about the same age as her own son, had a certain charisma that was impossible to dislike, and he kept calling her Catherine. The advertising fee wasn't the issue for her. It was pocket change. She was already preparing to pivot anyway. If Viridian Fields failed, she would drop it without hesitation and find a new product line to represent. If Cole's plan actually worked, what was a few $1,000s? She and the other distributors had spent more than that on a single night out at a karaoke bar. Her own worthless son had gotten into a fender bender and fractured someone's big toe. Not even a compound fracture. And to make it go away, she'd paid out $5,000 on the spot. She'd spent over $15,000 on her own breast augmentation. Catherine didn't care about the money. She just didn't want to be made a fool of. But looking at this young man, it was clear he was genuinely passionate about making this work. Kid, you've convinced me. Really? Catherine, then you have to give it a shot. I promise. It'll be the best investment you've ever made. When you're laughing all the way to the bank, you'll thank me. Cole said, slipping back into his shameless, earnest persona. Aren't you afraid I'll just take your proposal and hire someone else to do it? Catherine teased, a smile playing on her lips. Cole was prepared for this. It was a classic move for seasoned business owners. Catherine, even though we've just met, I can tell you're a person of integrity. Besides, if you took this kind of campaign to a TV station, the cost, well, I don't need to tell you. And on top of that, this strategy is tailored specifically for college students. Its effectiveness in the general public would be cut by more than half. This is an operation that only Headline Today is equipped to run. Right now, nothing had a greater influence on students than Headline Today. And the cost to operate on the platform was incredibly low. That was Cole's trump card. Haha, all right. You've talked me into it. I'm willing to give it a try. Tell me about your pricing. Catherine beamed. Cole felt a jolt of excitement. He instantly switched back to his professional mode, scooting his chair forward. He began to explain the two payment models for their ad services. As they talked, he got Catherine permission to log in a Headline Today on her computer, using the Tea Alchemist, the Orchid Lounge, and the Caspian Grill and Buffet as case studies. Wait a minute. Catherine suddenly interrupted. Cole's heart skipped a beat. Is she changing her mind? The Caspian Grill is advertising on Headline Today. Catherine blinked, looking from the screen back to Cole. They are. It just started a few days ago, Cole said, confused. Did she know them? Oh, you should have said so. If you told me that from the start, you wouldn't have needed this whole proposal. Catherine laughed, clapping Cole on the shoulder. If Vanessa Fan is advertising with you, what do I have to be afraid of? Let's do it, she added. No wonder she's been in such a good mood lately. She never told me what it was about. Cole's heart soared. So they know each other. This is perfect. Catherine, should we draw up a contract then? Yes, let's do it. Catherine peered closer at the ads on the screen. Yep, that was the Caspian Grill and Buffet, address and all. Yvonne, who had been in a daze, snapped back to reality and quickly handed over another folder. Cole had insisted they come prepared for any outcome. Kid, how do you know Vanessa? Catherine asked as she reviewed the contract. Oh, I met her niece first, Cole said honestly. I see. The tomboy, right? No wonder the Orchid Lounge is on here too. Catherine had never met Jordan Liu, but she knew of her. Jordan has a certain Milan-esque quality, Cole said, unwilling to confirm the tomboy label. Loose lips sink ships. You're a clever one, Catherine chuckled, seeing through his caution. Don't worry. I rent this office space from Vanessa. We're good friends. The comment startled Cole. Vanessa must be loaded if she owns office space in the gallery. I wonder how many properties she has. Do you know Vanessa well? Catherine asked, a glint in her eye. Not at all. I just recommended the ad service. We haven't talked about anything else, Cole said truthfully. I see. Catherine didn't press the issue. After the contract was signed, she had her finance department wire over $15,000. Then she smiled at Cole. Kid, I believe in you, and I see a lot of potential. Go get him. Catherine, thank you for your trust. I'll do everything I can to live up to your expectations, Cole said earnestly. Another $15,000 in the bank. If they could turn this into a classic case study, the pressure on Yvonne would be greatly reduced. I'm looking forward to it, Catherine said with a warm, almost maternal smile. She had, for all intents and purposes, accepted the Catherine moniker. She even walked Cole and Yvonne to the company entrance. As they stepped into the elevator, Yvonne stole a glance at her boss, standing by the buttons. In that moment, she realized she had just become a die-hard Cole fan. Yvonne was completely and utterly in awe of Cole. His ability to switch personas on a dime was masterful, and his shamelessness knew no bounds. Yet his work was meticulous. She felt the immense gap between herself and her boss. A junior working under a freshman. In this context, it felt perfectly, undeniably logical. Her heart was being battered by some unknown force, wave after relentless wave. If she had to give that force a name, it would be conquest. An impulse rose within her, a desperate wish that her boss were a shameless leck who would make a move on her. But he never did. I'm pretty, right? My figure is decent, isn't it? But at the same time, she knew that he had access to top-tier women. It would be hard for him to divide his attention. Still, proximity is power. There would be opportunities. Okay, she decided. Starting tomorrow, I'm ditching the jeans. Yvonne wasn't going to give up without a fight. Back at the Headline Today office, When everyone heard they had signed another $15,000 deal, the room erupted in applause and cheers. Their confidence in the company's future soared. Cole called the advertising and planning department into the small conference room for a meeting. He laid out his ad strategy. He didn't lecture them with textbook theories. He simply demanded that the core of the plan be executed flawlessly. They could handle the minor details themselves. These were upperclassmen who had heard all the classic case studies in their marketing classes. They didn't need him to spell it out. After he finished, Cole asked, "Whitney, what do you see as the key challenges we need to solve in this plan?" "I think there are two critical points," Whitney Yuan said, her eyes thoughtful. "First, we still need to hire headline today influencers, one male and one female, to act as trendsetters. Second, a key part of the campaign has to be about getting consumers to adopt a new mindset. Don't chase expensive brands. Don't get ripped off by luxury. Practicality is the new college cool. Find your true self in the everyday. Cheap doesn't have to mean bad." Clap, clap, clap. Cole couldn't help but applaud. Whitney was a natural-born strategist. She got instantly. The other department members quickly joined in with applause. "Exactly," Cole emphasized. "The main goal of this campaign is to achieve two things: repetition, and what Whitney just said, a new mindset. If either of these is missing, we won't get the best results." "Don't worry, boss. I'll make sure your vision is perfectly executed," Whitney promised. She had already grasped the essence of the campaign. It was a brainwashing designed to scrub consumers clean from the inside out. And it wouldn't be hard because their target audience, college students, was the most receptive to new ideas. "All right, meeting adjourned," Cole said with a wave of his hand. The planning department immediately kicked into high gear. Meanwhile, at Eastwood Tech School of the Arts, Amy was on top of the world. Her follower count had broken the 100,000 mark, making her the most popular influencer on Headline Today. A single post could get tens of thousands of likes. Her image as a campus goddess was solidified. The most popular campus queens from other schools barely had 50,000 followers. Some had even given up on being influencers, content to be seen in fancy cars. Only Amy consistently updated her account, managed her brand, and carefully maintained her image. Rich guys from other schools couldn't even get a date with her. She was smart. The top universities produced a lot of talent, future leaders in every industry. She didn't need many. If just a few dozen of her 100,000 followers became successful, they would still be people who had once been her fans. That connection was valuable. So she treated all her followers, male and female, with care. Ding, 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 ding. Her Facebook Messenger pinged. Amy opened it. It was Whitney Yuan, the head of planning at Headline Today. A jolt of excitement went through her. "Are they offering me an ad deal?" She read the message. They were. They wanted her to come to the office to discuss the details. Without a second thought, Amy rushed back to her dorm to touch up her makeup, then immediately headed for the Student Venture Lab at Eastwood University. The money didn't matter. After the collaboration, Headline Today would promote her account. Back at Eastwood University, Preston was a little confused after his class. Headline Today had sent him a message about a paid ad placement. The message was from Cole himself, asking him to come to the office if he was interested. Preston thought for a moment. He didn't have any more classes, so he figured he might as well check it out. Half an hour later, in the small conference room at the Venture Lab, Whitney explained the project to the two influencers. They would shoot a short video, incorporating the Viridian Fields product. The marketing department would provide the script and filming concept, but the performance details would be decided together. The core of the message was the line: "The skincare every college student is using. And I'm using it too." The video would be featured on the Headline Today homepage, and both of them would also have to post it on their own accounts. They each signed a contract, which included a non-disclosure agreement. Amy was paid $150, Preston $120. Whitney had set the rates based on their follower counts. As an added bonus, their accounts would be promoted for 3 days. Amy and Preston left happy. Amy was a little disappointed she hadn't seen Cole at the office. Preston, on the other hand, felt a little slighted that Cole hadn't come out to greet him personally. Whitney then contacted some of the campus queens from other schools. They were offered $30 to post a video or a daily life update that prominently featured the product and the key phrase. Only 12 of them accepted. Some of the other campus queens had already moved on, sneering at a measly $30 now that they were riding the fast track with wealthy suitors. That evening, in a girls' dorm at Eastwood Teachers College's music department, a student named Sarah scraped the last bit of face cream from a jar, making a mental note to buy a new one tomorrow. She used a popular brand, something from Clinique. It wasn't cheap. She'd bought it after hearing other girls rave about it. She couldn't tell if it was actually working, but it was mostly a psychological thing. She couldn't be seen using something cheap. Her classmates would make fun of her. It was only because her dad spoiled her that she had the extra money for skincare. After washing her face, she settled into her usual spot, leaning against the wall on her bed with her laptop on a small desk. She started scrolling through Headline Today, a daily habit. Soon, she came across a video from one of her favorite comedy influencers at Preston Needs Hugs. The video started in his usual style, a shot of him from behind, looking cool and brooding. Then the sudden, hilarious reversal, revealing his signature, goofy, handsome face. This time, after the reveal, a gust of wind blew his carefully styled hair out of place. He touched his face, noticing it felt a little dry. Just as he was wondering what to buy, 3 students walked past, one of them saying, "I just use Viridian Fields. Everyone's using it now. It's good and it's not expensive." The influencer, Preston, rushed up to them. "Where can I get it?" A student replied, "You can just find it on the side of the road." Preston, skeptical, went to look, and sure enough, he saw a package of skincare products growing on the branch of a tree. He plucked it, and the package read, "Viridian Fields, the skincare college students are using." The influencer, Preston, smeared the cream on his face with an exaggerated motion. After he was done, his face wasn't dry anymore. A gust of wind blew his hair back into its perfect coif, and his face was so smooth and moisturized it practically gleamed. The video ended with Preston saying to himself, "If every college student is using Viridian Fields, then I'm using it from now on too." Sarah mumbled the name Viridian Fields to herself. At that point, it didn't really stick. She liked the post and kept scrolling. Soon, she came across a short film posted by another influencer, Amy. It also featured Viridian Fields with the same tagline, "The skincare college students are using." The skincare ad from female influencer had a much bigger impact on Sarah. She started to wonder if Viridian Fields was actually any good. As she scrolled further, she even saw a video posted by one of the campus queens from her own university, Eastwood Teachers College. It was a simple video shot in a dorm room. When Sarah returned to the Headline Today homepage, a bold banner on the right side of the screen caught her eye. Viridian Fields, the skincare every college student is using. She couldn't resist clicking on it. When she saw the product sets, the individual items, and the prices, she was tempted. It was insanely cheap, but she decided to wait and see. She was worried her roommates or other girls would make fun of her for buying a cheap brand. Over the next 2 days, Headline Today was flooded with content about discovering good, inexpensive skincare. Countless accounts shared their personal experiences. "I didn't believe it at first, but after I tried it, it's actually really good. Works great, and it's cheap." Sarah was sold. She went to the Viridian Fields counter in the nearby Lakeside Shopping Center and bought a set. The total price was less than $15. After using it, she found it worked just as well as the expensive brands. The only real difference was the scent. But it was skincare, not perfume, so who cared? Still a little self-conscious, Sarah went to a neighboring dorm where she knew some girls to chat and subtly fish for information. It turned out that all 6 of the girls in that room had bought it. Sarah's anxiety vanished. A Viridian Fields craze quickly swept across the university campuses. The affordable price, combined with the psychological pull of everyone's using it, made students feel perfectly justified in buying it. They no longer had to worry about being judged for not using a high-end brand. The more students who bought it, the more powerful the "everyone's using it" mantra became. It was contagious. Of course, students from wealthier families and those who pursued a more luxurious lifestyle still stuck to the major brands. At Aura Cosmetics Distribution, Catherine Chow sat at her desk, her face beaming. For the past few days, the sales data coming in from her stores had been astonishing. Some locations had seen their revenue increase more than tenfold. Although the purchases were sporadic, the brand awareness was exploding. When something was cheap, people used it more freely, which meant they bought it more often. "Looks like that young mister. Cole's plan really works." Catherine immediately called Viridian Fields headquarters to order more stock. Just as she hung up, the regional manager, Greg Zhao, knocked and entered. He wore a smug expression. "Aunt Catherine, I've told you a dozen times in the office, use my title," Catherine shot back, glancing at him with displeasure. "Ms. Chow, under my diligent supervision, store sales have skyrocketed these past few days. Here's the report I just prepared," he said, sliding a folder onto her desk. Catherine gave the folder an odd look, then lifted her eyes to stare deeply at Greg. "Where have you been the last few days?" "Me? I've been visiting the stores every day. I spent all day at the Lakeside store today," Greg said, taken aback. He felt a flicker of panic under her strangely knowing gaze. The truth was he'd been in a foul mood. He'd gone to the Tea Alchemist several times, but hadn't seen that girl, Julia, who had already blocked him. He hadn't gotten anywhere with her, so he'd spent the last few days drinking and singing karaoke with his buddies. He'd only gone back to work this morning. Greg, your aunt is my cousin. We're family, more or less. It's fine if you're not the most competent, but at the very least, don't drag me down. Do you understand what I'm saying? Catherine's eyes were cold. If it weren't for the family connection, she would have fired him long ago. If he'd put in even a shred of effort, he wouldn't be trying to take credit for this. She'd had high hopes at first. Hiring family was supposed to have its advantages. She'd even given him her old car. But his performance... I understand, Greg stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. Fine, I'll give you one more chance, Catherine said flatly, her gaze returning to her computer screen. Thank you, Aunt Ms. Ciao. Greg backed out of the office, embarrassed. The moment he was out the door, his expression soured with resentment. If it weren't for my hard work, would the company even be here today? This region would have collapsed. And she gives me that attitude? Oof. He left the office, fuming. That evening, at the original tea alchemist shop, Cole was at the round table in the back, teaching Luna how to use the accounting software. Brianna and Felicity sat with them. Only Cole would trust 3 freshmen with managing his finances. But he was a firm believer that you are the company you keep, so he was willing to trust anyone Luna trusted. Headline Today and the Tea Alchemist had separate accounting systems, but the final numbers were consolidated and managed by the head treasurer, Luna, with Brianna and Felicity acting as accountants. You guys take turns with it. You'll get the hang of it with practice, Cole said, then excused himself to the restroom. He'd been holding it for a while, and that wasn't good for you. Just then, a black Volvo pulled up to the curb right in front of the shop. A young man in a formal suit stepped out. He wore an expression of smug superiority, the kind a rich kid puts on when he's out on the town, but it didn't look quite natural. It was as if you were trying too hard to project disdain for everyone around him while simultaneously craving their attention. Greg Zhao walked into the tea shop, pretending to study the menu, his eyes darting around, scanning the girls working behind the counter. He was disappointed. The girl from the mall wasn't there. Damn it, did that Julia lie to me? He thought. If the girl wasn't here, there was no point in ordering a drink. He had just turned to leave when his eyes suddenly locked on something. There, sitting at the round table in the back. It was her. So Julia wasn't lying. She really is here. Greg was ecstatic. His eyes darted around as he schemed. He decided not to approach right away. Instead, he called out to the counter, 4 cappuccinos hot. 4 hot cappuccinos. Megan repeated. Oh, no, wait. Greg reconsidered. Just one for now. For it was a bit steep. He could order more if he managed to get a date. He couldn't wait for the coffee. He sauntered toward the back table. He saw 3 girls with their heads bent together, looking at a laptop screen. The one in the middle was an absolute knockout. Her figure was incredible. If he could just get a date with her, he'd willingly give up 10 years of his life. At that moment, Luna was watching Felicity navigate the software. Her senses, already sharp, picked up on a very uncomfortable feeling. She looked up and met a gaze that was utterly sleazy. She quickly looked down, disgusted, a wave of irritation washing over her. She wanted to grab the laptop and smash it over his head. Brianna and Felicity also sensed something was off and looked up. Hello, ladies. Mind if I sit here? Greg asked with a smirk, radiating a misplaced confidence he imagined all rich kids had. Sorry, this is our boss's seat, Brianna said flatly, shutting him down. Her tone was neutral. She'd heard him order coffee, so he was a customer. Now, what's the big deal? Your boss would give up his seat for a customer, wouldn't he? Greg shot back with an arrogant grin. He plopped down in the empty chair next to Felicity, who recoiled in disgust, and scooted closer to Luna. The guy's stare was just gross. It felt like insects crawling all over her skin. So, ladies, you work here? Greg asked, crossing his legs in a way that looked like he could scratch his toes with his own heel and bouncing his foot. The 3 girls ignored him, trying their best to focus on the accounting software despite the nauseating presence. But after a few seconds, Luna couldn't take it anymore. The man was staring at her, his eyes repeatedly sweeping over her chest. Even though her coat was buttoned, she instinctively pulled it tighter. Without looking up, she said in a cold voice, "Could you please not look at me like that? It's making me very uncomfortable." Hearing Luna speak up, Brianna glared at the man, her eyebrows knitting together. Greg just smirked, his confidence unshaken. He casually placed his car keys on the table. Ladies, let's be friends. I'll take you for a drive sometime. He couldn't believe this girl would be unimpressed. At his age, not many guys had a car. I'd advise you to leave now. Otherwise, things are about to get interesting, Brianna said, glancing toward the restroom door with a sigh. Interesting is my middle name. Greg Zhao have never backed down from a little excitement, he said, getting lost in the role he was playing. His face was a mask of disdain, but inside his heart was pounding. Still, there was no way he was giving up. The girl was a total knockout. Maybe she was already interested, but was just too shy to say it. Brianna silently cursed him for being an idiot. This was a job for the boss. He had to be done in there soon. Hey, beautiful, give me your number. I'll take you out to dinner. That car out there is mine, Greg said, pointing a thumb toward the Volvo XC90 parked outside. He'd had it washed just for this occasion, and it was gleaming. It was a 2006 luxury model, a decent car. Too bad it's not actually mine, he thought with a pang of regret. Luna pressed a hand to her forehead, the anger inside her reaching a boiling point. If she weren't so afraid of making things difficult for Cole by grabbing another knife, she would have already stood up and done it. When she was 13 or 14, she'd seen that same look in a man's eyes and had chased him with a hatchet. She had genuinely wanted to kill him then. If she had caught him, she would have buried it in him. Now, with Cole in her life, she hated that look even more. Greg, completely lost in his lust, was oblivious to the danger. He prattled on, "It's not cheap, about 60 grand, but it's an import. The ride is fantastic, perfect for a road trip. A lot more comfortable than the Audi I have parked at home." The dark cloud that lurked deep in Luna's heart burst. She couldn't take it anymore. She shot to her feet and slammed her hand on the table. "Are you still spewing that crap? I'll cut you, you son of a bitch, see if I don't." In her fury, her carefully practiced speech dissolved into the thick, raw accent of her hometown. Her face was contorted with rage, her eyes blazing. The loud bang and her explosive shout stunned Greg into silence. The other customers in the shop turned to look. The students sitting nearby had been watching the scene unfold and had a good idea of what was happening. Greg's lips trembled. He couldn't even meet the girl's eyes. Then, suddenly, he remembered the rich kid persona he was playing. He forced himself to puff out his chest. "What? What's your problem? I was just asking you a question. What's with the attitude? Is this how you treat your customers? Where's your boss? Get your boss out here." He slammed his own hand on the table with a loud thump. That was the last straw for Luna. She tried to push past Brianna to get to the counter. Brianna grabbed her. "Don't. Let the boss handle it." She knew Luna's temper all too well. She seemed gentle on the surface, but when she got angry, she went for knives. Just what you'd expect from someone from rural West Virginia, where people were still allowed to carry them for self-defense. Seeing the girl being held back, Greg's courage surged. He sneered internally. "Just a coward. I'll talk." He slammed the table again. "Get your boss out here now. I want to ask him how he trains his staff. If I don't get an apology, I'll make sure this place gets shut down." Greg had it all planned out. He'd demand that the girl apologize to him. In private, outside. If she refused, he'd call a few of his buddies to come and make a scene. As he fantasized, he continued to eye the girl with a lecherous, furtive gaze that sent Luna's temper skyrocketing. She fought against Brianna's hold. "Let me go." Just as she broke free and started for the counter and its knives, the restroom door swung open. Cole stood there, a look of confusion on his face, tinged with a hint of grievance. He'd thought it was an emergency and had rushed to finish his business. Luna froze, the anger on her face softening into a look of hurt. She was worried Cole would be angry with her for losing her temper. Cole looked at Luna. Then his eyes fell on the vaguely familiar, sleazy face at the table. He didn't need to ask what had happened. His face hardened. He strode toward the man. Greg was still dangling his car keys, a triumphant smirk on his face. He turned his head, and his heart lurched. What is that student doing here? But he was in too deep to back down now. He remained defiantly in his chair, thinking, what's he going to do about it? Cole didn't say a word. He grabbed the man by the collar and started dragging him toward the door. Greg was pulled backward, and the chair tipped over, crashing to the floor with him. Cole dragged him out. "What are you doing? Let go. You're assaulting me. Help. He's attacking me. Somebody call the police." The collar of Greg's suit and shirt was twisted tight, choking him. He scrabbled at Cole's hand, trying to pry it loose, but it was like iron. He was being dragged across the floor, a comical, humiliating spectacle, crying out to the other customers for help. None of them moved. A few of them laughed. In a matter of seconds, Cole had him at the door. "Let go of me, you motherfucker." Greg yelled. Slap. A sharp slap echoed through the shop, stunning Greg into silence. After the blow, Cole released his collar and shouted, his voice ringing with authority. "You were harassing women at the mall last time, and now you come to my shop to bother a student? You're the one who needs the police called on him. Maybe a few days in a cell will teach you a lesson." The customers inside and outside the shop gasped in understanding. No wonder. The guy's a repeat offender. You hit me. You just wait. Let's see how tough you are when my friends get here." Greg blustered, his face a mask of shame and fury. He didn't dare fight back. He pulled out his phone, making a show of threatening Cole. He didn't call the police. He was planning to call his drinking buddies to back him up. Cole ignored him, took out his own phone, and dialed Catherine Chow. Cole had been to the Viridian Field stores over the past few days, but he hadn't run into this man. Still, he was certain the guy was one of their regional managers. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered. It sounded like Catherine was in a restaurant. "Hello, kid. What's up?" Likely due to the soaring sales figures, her voice was warm and friendly. "Catherine, it's like this. There's a man here claiming to be a regional manager from your company. He's at my tea shop, harassing one of my employees. I just wanted to verify with you." Cole continued, cleverly framing it. "I was worried he might be an imposter from another brand, trying to damage Viridian Field's reputation." "A regional manager from my company?" Catherine's voice was surprised, but there was also a hint of recognition in it. She then asked, "What does he look like? What kind of car is he driving? Do you know the license plate?" "I think it's a Volvo." "The plate is..." Cole rattled off the number and described the man's appearance and clothing. When he finished, Catherine was silent for a few seconds. "I understand, kid. I'll have someone handle it right now. What's your address?" While Cole was on the phone, Greg was also making a call. "Yo, Dragon Man, I ran into some trouble. On Hillside Avenue, at Eastwood U. Place called the Tea Alchemist. Hello? Dragon, you there? Hello?" Greg's face darkened. Probably bad reception. He tried again. "Hey, Donnie, it's Greg. I'm in a jam. Hillside Avenue, the Tea Alchemist. Hello? Donnie? Hello?" Greg's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Unfucking believable. When it was time to go for hot pot or get a foot massage, they were always there. When he actually needed them, suddenly everyone had bad reception. Seeing Cole glaring at him, Greg quickly put on a show of being on an important call. "Yeah, right? Okay, I'll wait for you guys in the car. Hurry up." While still on the phone, he swaggered over to his car, opened the door, and got in. He had a few more calls to make. He refused to believe that his reputation didn't count for something. Cole finished his call, but didn't go back inside. He planted himself right in front of the Volvo's grill, waiting for Catherine's people to arrive. Judging by the guy's behavior, Cole knew he wouldn't call the police, and Cole had no intention of doing so either. This wasn't like the future, where people called the cops over a simple argument. Inside the shop, Luna's face was etched with worry. Afraid that Cole would be at a disadvantage, she walked to the counter and picked up the large butcher knife. Her entire demeanor changed. She looked like she was about to go ask a melon if it was ripe for the splitting. The customers in the shop stared, dumbfounded. Just moments ago, she had been a sweet, gentle-looking girl. Now, she looked like a tribal chieftainess heading into battle. Look at that steady stride. There was no doubt she was capable of a flying leap and chop at any moment. When Cole saw Luna walking toward him with a knife, ready to defend him, his heart ached with a mixture of love and concern. He put his arm around her. "Hey, it's okay," he said softly. "Put the knife back. I'm here. It's fine. I want to be with you. What some thugs show up?" Luna looked up at him, her determined gaze pleading. She knew they could call the police, but what if they were too late? What if a fight broke out? What if there was a what if, her knife wasn't just for show? Would she go to jail? She'd cut first and worry about that later. She had nothing else to offer Cole but this blade. "Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen. Be a good girl, Lou. Go back inside. If I need you, I'll call you, okay?" Cole's voice was a gentle whisper, and his eyes started to sting. She was ready to draw steel for him. What more needed to be said? He was just terrified she'd get hurt. I want to stay with you," Luna said, unwilling to defy him, but also unwilling to leave. "I know." Cole gave her waist a gentle squeeze. "This is Eastwood University. There aren't going to be any thugs. Trust me. Go on, get back and shop. We don't want people staring." Luna considered it. That was true. The man was hiding in his car, watching them, which was even more disgusting. "Okay, but if anything happens, I'm coming out." "Deal." Cole nodded, his eyes filled with a soft, warm light. Luna was so captivated by his gaze, she almost refused to go back inside. But she did as he asked, returning the knife to its place behind the counter. She ignored the accounting software and stood by the counter, her eyes fixed on the scene outside. "Come on, sit down. Let the customers have some space," Brianna said with a sigh, gently pulling her back to the table. A few of the students standing by the counter chuckled. From inside his car, Greg Zhao's pupils had constricted. Holy crap. Is she for real? At that moment, he felt a twinge of regret. And to make matters worse, all of his so-called good buddies still had bad reception. He wanted to drive away, but Cole was blocking the front, and another car was behind him. He was trapped, but he wasn't scared. What could they do? He was comfortable in his car. He could wait them out. Perhaps because they weren't far, The people Catherine had sent arrived in less than 10 minutes. A black Mercedes G-Wagon pulled into the empty space in front of him. A middle-aged man and a younger man got out. They walked directly to the Volvo, and the older man tapped expressionlessly on the window. The window rolled down, revealing Greg's hopeful face. "Uncle Ming, you're just in time. I ran into some punk who... Ms. Chow wants you to go back." The older man's expression didn't change. "Go back. But I can't just let this go. You have no idea how I've been wronged." With his back up here, Greg's bravado returned. He glared venomously at Cole. "Go back. Now," the man repeated. "Fine. All right." Greg caught the look in the older man's eyes and didn't dare argue further. "Give me the keys." The man held out his hand. "It's okay, Uncle Ming. I can drive," Greg said, forcing a fawning smile. "Give me the keys." The man's eyes were cold, devoid of any warmth. "Haha, okay, Uncle Ming." Defeated, Greg pulled the key from the ignition and handed it over, then got out of the car. The older man tossed the keys to the younger one, then turned to Cole. "Are you Mr. Chen?" he asked with a smile. "Ms. Chow asked me to apologize on her behalf. This won't happen again." He gave a slight bow. "Please thank Miss Chow for me," Cole said, stepping aside. He was curious to see how this would end. The younger man got into the Volvo's driver's seat. Greg shot a contemptuous glare at Cole and walked around to the passenger side, pulling on the handle. "Unlock the door." The young man turned and stared at him coldly. "She said you'd go back home." Back home." Greg's eyes widened in disbelief. What does that mean?" A terrible premonition washed over him. The Volvo started. Ignoring Greg, the driver pulled out of the parking spot. Greg's eyes darted around wildly. He ran toward the G-Wagon. "Uncle Ming! Uncle Ming!" The G-Wagon ignored him, started its engine, and drove away. Greg's face was a mask of despair. He pulled out his phone to call Catherine, but the call wouldn't go through. As Greg stood there in a daze, his phone rang. It was his mother. "What is it?" he answered. "Greg, what are you doing?" "You're never at your post. Your Aunt Catherine just called." After he hung up, the color drained from Greg's face. He'd lost his job and his car. He glanced at the tea alchemist. The student was already back inside. No one was paying any attention to him. A seed of resentment took root in his heart. Strangely, it wasn't directed at the student, but at Catherine Chow. "We're family, for crying out loud. Couldn't she have given me a little face?" The resentment was quickly followed by a wave of overwhelming regret. Too embarrassed to linger, he wandered away, muttering to himself, his eyes vacant. With the show over, the small crowd of onlookers dispersed, and the lively chatter returned to the tea alchemist. Cole gave Luna a reassuring look, then went back to teaching the three girls the software. Secretly, he was thinking, that little Spitfire grabbed a knife again. She's going to need a serious talking to tonight. Before the shop closed, Cole sent the two accountants home. "Lou, come with me." "Okay." Luna, of course, had no objections. She would go anywhere with him. When they arrived at the Golden Bay Residences, apartment 2201, Luna was stunned. She hadn't known Cole had his own place. She'd never seen an apartment like this before. She loved the balcony, from which you could see for miles. Cole stood with her on the balcony, looking out at the distant city lights, pointing out landmarks. As he talked, he moved behind her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. He had an armful of soft, warm, fragrant girl. A very, very full armful. A shame about the thick winter clothes. A blush spread across Luna's face, and she leaned back against him, letting him gently kiss her neck. It was ticklish and comforting all at once. The rage that had made her grab the knife was long gone. They stood there quietly, admiring the night view and talking. In his past life, Cole would have ordered takeout, and they would have eaten and talked. But none of the three girls had a habit of eating late-night snacks, and they usually went to bed early. The only time they stayed up late was when he was pestering them. "You're not going back to the dorm tonight," Cole said. He had been to the apartment earlier to change the sheets, putting away the set he and Jasmine had used. Jasmine was so embarrassed about the dance, and what happened after that, she probably wouldn't dare to see him for days. "You can shower here. You can wear my pajamas." Hearing this, Luna's heart tightened with a nervous flutter. She only had a vague idea about certain things, no real understanding of the specifics. She sighed internally. If he really wants to, I'll let him. Cole saw the worry in her eyes instantly. He leaned close to her ear and whispered, his words a complete lie. "We'll just talk and sleep. Nothing else." Nothing else? That was impossible. But he knew that for the sensitive Luna, now was not the time to cross that line. He could sweet-talk her, trick her, and probably get what he wanted. She was so grateful to him that she likely wouldn't refuse. But that would create a dynamic where she felt she owed him, and it would leave a scar on their relationship. Luna's upbringing had left her with a profound lack of security. If he rushed things, she would inevitably feel that he was only after her for her body. Cole was no saint. In his past life, he would have taken what he could get as fast as he could get it. Eat and run. But things are different now. To get the biggest prize, he had to give these 3 women a complete, hopefully perfect experience. He had to let the feelings settle and deepen over time, until things happen naturally. A woman's heart could be simple sometimes. If you rush to eat, then in her eyes, that's all it was. If she could give it to you today, she could give it to someone else tomorrow. In the future, who among those who lived on fast food relationships could ever claim to have loyalty? The more you consumed, the emptier you felt. In the end, your soul would lose its anchor, and you'd become a hunter of desire. Just like the dark version of Cole from his past life. No trust, no emotion, only lust. Lust burned brightly, but it disappeared the moment the act was over. If you clicked, maybe it only disappeared for a little while. If you didn't, it might be gone forever. It always disappeared quickly. But now everything was different. He was starting over, young and full of life. And he had met these incredible people who cared so much about him. Cole's mindset was slowly changing. The scumbag tendencies were being suppressed. He was still a scumbag, technically, but there was a fundamental difference between a scumbag who builds something and one who just takes. He felt like he was evolving, his heart set on a higher, more shameless pursuit. Who didn't want a true, mutual love? What man, scumbag, or hopeless romantic didn't want that? Everyone did. They had just seen too much and lost the courage to believe in it. But now, since he, Cole Chun, had found the right people, he had to first imprint his own brand on their souls, weaving the 4 threads of their lives into a single, unbreakable cable. Cole knew he was greedy, but he had to be the greediest of them all. He would be the king of greed. Luna didn't say anything. She just tilted her head slightly and kissed his chin. She believed him completely. Her heart felt light. She was afraid of many things, but she was most afraid that Cole only liked her for her body, her rabbits, as the saying went. Before, she thought he was just being nice to her, that there was no romantic interest. But ever since she had revealed her talents, he had started to pursue her. She was overjoyed but also worried. She wasn't the only well-endowed girl in the world. As time went on, would he get tired of her? Would he go chasing other rabbits? One of her roommates had been in a fiery romance, and it wasn't long before she was staying out all night. But now they had broken up. They had only been together for 3 months. Luna saw it happen, and it worried her. She was afraid the same would happen with her and Cole. But hearing him say those words, Luna felt like she was being held in the palm of his hand, protected and cherished. She was filled with a sense of security. Her heart was overflowing with a deep, abiding affection that left no room for doubt. Her rabbits belonged to this person. She just hoped he would eat slowly, savor them, and make the meal last a long, long time. They talked until after 9, when the building grew quiet. Cole gave her a new set of men's winter cotton pajamas. Blushing, Luna went to take a shower. She had showered the day before, but the thought of being held by him made her want to be fresh. As she washed, she looked down at herself and unconsciously bit her lower lip. Her face felt hot. Unwilling, she thought. She had to make it so he wouldn't have any desire to look at other girls. Right? But I won't let him get too full. After drying off, Luna hesitated over her bra for a moment before finally putting it on. It probably wouldn't survive the night, but she had to wear it. Otherwise, he might get the wrong idea and think she was too eager. That wouldn't be good. When Luna walked out, her face flushed a delicate pink. Cole put on a serious expression. Okay, my turn to shower. It's cold out here. You should get under the covers. Okay, Luna whispered, not daring to look at him. The hot water must have been scalding, because her cheeks were still bright red. Cole, the fake gentleman, looked calm, but he practically sprinted into the bathroom.